My friends, tonight I want to share with you something that will completely revolutionize your relationship with money. But first, let me ask you this. How long have you been chasing financial security? How many years have you struggled, worried, strained, and lived in fear, living life like a desperate beggar, rather than recognizing your true divine inheritance? What if I told you that tonight, your struggle ends? What if I told you that before this evening is over, you will learn one powerful sentence, a sacred decree that has the divine power to shift your entire financial consciousness and allow money to find you effortlessly? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you is not theory. It's the very law by which this universe operates. You see, my friends, money is not meant to be chased. Money is meant to respond to your spoken word, your clear assumption, your consciousness of already being the person you wish to be. Your word is law in your world, and the universe, which is nothing more than your own wonderful imagination, pushed out, listens closely, waiting for the exact moment when your consciousness issues a clear and uncompromising decree. Money, in its truest sense, is simply consciousness made manifest. It is obedient spiritual substance that moves according to your assumptions. Up until now, you may have unknowingly held assumptions of scarcity, limitation, or delay, wondering why abundance seems to avoid you. But tonight, that misunderstanding is permanently corrected. Tonight, you will learn the one sentence that instructs your own infinite imagination, the divine intelligence of your consciousness, to open every hidden doorway of abundance. Tonight, you shift your financial destiny. Money will no longer evade you. It will seek you out, find you, follow you, and flow to you effortlessly and ceaselessly. You will no longer live in financial anxiety. You will live in divine certainty. Because when you learn to speak correctly, when you learn to assume correctly, you will understand clearly and completely that wealth is not accidental, it is consciousness. Wealth is not hard-won, it is spiritually assumed. And tonight, your imagination becomes the divine instrument that releases your inheritance. Prepare your consciousness. Quiet your doubt. You have arrived at the turning point. And from this moment forward, your financial life will never be the same again. The universe, my friends, is not ruled by luck. It is ruled by law. Precise, immutable, divine law. And among the highest of these is the law of assumption expressed through the spoken word. From the beginning, consciousness created everything. Let there be light, and there was light. The word was not a suggestion. It was not a hope. It was an assumption crystallized into manifestation. And that same divine authority has been given to you. Your voice is not decoration. It is creative force. Every word you speak carries the vibration of your assumption, and every assumption issues instruction to the substance of your consciousness. When you speak from the feeling of lack, that lack becomes your experience. When you speak from the assumption of abundance, abundance becomes your reality. So when I tell you that a single sentence can bring money to you, I speak not from fantasy, but from eternal law. The scripture declares, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee." It does not say you must understand it, or earn it, or deserve it. It says you must decree it, you must assume it to be true. To decree means to issue a spiritual verdict, a final assumption. It is spoken from the consciousness of already being what you desire to be, not from the beggar consciousness of wanting what you don't have. Most people, when it comes to money, speak like beggars. They ask, plead, worry, and wonder, but they do not assume. They say, I hope I can afford it, or I'm always broke, or money just doesn't come easily to me. And so the law of consciousness, being perfectly obedient, fulfills those exact assumptions. You see, the spoken word is not metaphorical. It's mechanical. It sets law into motion. It places the machinery of manifestation into movement. It opens or closes the gates of supply according to the assumption behind it. Money does not move based on emotion or struggle. It moves according to consciousness, according to assumption. And the clearest way to shift that assumption is through bold, rhythmic, feeling-toned speech that comes from the end, from already being the prosperous person you desire to be. There is no neutrality in assumption. Every thought is a cause, every feeling is a command, and most people are assuming poverty with their daily mental diet. This is too expensive, they say. I never have enough, they sigh. And then they wonder why money seems to hide. But the one who understands law knows that money is not scarce. It is not cruel. It is not hiding. It is simply waiting for a clear assumption from a consciousness aligned with abundance. Let this truth penetrate your very being. Money is not attracted by effort. It is attracted by assumption. And that assumption is expressed not through stress, but through the feeling of already having what you desire, crystallized in speech. When you begin to speak as one who already possesses what you seek, everything in your consciousness begins to shift. Opportunities appear, resources manifest, doors that were locked swing wide, not because you hustled, but because you assumed, because you spoke from the end. Do not underestimate the power of words spoken from the right consciousness. The right sentence spoken from the feeling of the wish fulfilled, with rhythmic repetition, with unwavering assumption, can undo a lifetime of financial limitation. It can uproot generations of poverty thinking. It can rewire the subconscious patterns and instruct your divine imagination to manifest money swiftly, generously, and without resistance. This is not positive thinking, my friends. This is not wishful hoping. This is law. The same law that governs the tides, the planets, the seasons. And it does not fail. It does not sleep. It does not argue. It simply fulfills your dominant assumption, whether that assumption is rooted in fear or in faith. The world says you must work harder, try more, figure it out, stay up late, and fight your way forward. But the truth says, speak the word only, and thy servant shall be healed. The truth says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. The truth says your word is your creative power. So what are you doing with that power? Are you speaking as a creator or as a victim? Are you assuming your wealth or lamenting your lack? You cannot speak two languages and expect clarity from consciousness. You cannot assume abundance in the morning and complain about money in the afternoon and expect divine supply to manifest. For law is clear. It responds to your dominant assumption, and your dominant assumption is established by repetition, rhythm, and feeling. You must choose today to become disciplined in speech, not casual, not reactive, but deliberate, bold, and feeling-toned. Because your life reflects your assumptions, and your assumptions are crystallized through your language. If your bank account is in disorder, examine your mental conversations. If your debts multiply, check your assumptions. If your needs always outweigh your income, look not to the economy. Look to your consciousness. Look to your tongue. For your imagination is the gateway through which divine supply either flows or is blocked. When you speak from fear, you activate the law of assumption in reverse. You assume lack, and lack becomes your experience. You say, I can't afford this, and the law says, as you have assumed, so shall it be. You say it's always something, and the law answers, let it be done according to your assumption. You say, money never stays with me, and so it becomes your experience. The law is not punishing you, it is serving you. But it cannot serve what you refuse to assume. So I instruct you now, from this day forward, you will not allow your consciousness to entertain a single assumption of lack. You will not repeat the world's vocabulary of limitation. You will assume only what you wish to experience. You will speak only what you desire to manifest. For your word is the mold, and divine substance is the material that fills it. If your bank account is in disorder, examine your mental conversations. If your debts multiply, check your assumptions. If your needs always outweigh your income, look not to the economy. Look to your consciousness. Look to your tongue. For your imagination is the gateway through which divine supply either flows or is blocked. When you speak from fear, you activate the law of assumption in reverse. You assume lack, and lack becomes your experience. You say, I can't afford this, and the law says, as you have assumed, so shall it be. You say it's always something, and the law answers, let it be done according to your assumption. You say, money never stays with me, and so it becomes your experience. The law is not punishing you, it is serving you. But it cannot serve what you refuse to assume. So I instruct you now, from this day forward, you will not allow your consciousness to entertain a single assumption of lack. You will not repeat the world's vocabulary of limitation. You will assume only what you wish to experience. You will speak only what you desire to manifest. For your word is the mold, and divine substance is the material that fills it. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you engage with the world, you will speak. Every evening, before you lay your head down, you will speak. You will speak clearly. You will speak from the feeling of already being provided for. You will speak not as a beggar, but as one who recognizes their divine inheritance. You will speak not as a seeker, but as one who has found. For consciousness is a fountain of life, and today your consciousness becomes a fountain of wealth. Do not wait until you feel rich to speak as the rich speak. Speak it first. The feeling will follow your assumption. Conditions will obey your consciousness. This is the divine order of creation. The word goes first. The spoken assumption creates the invisible pattern. Then and only then does it become visible in your experience. And when you speak, speak with feeling, speak with rhythm, speak with the absolute conviction that what you assume is already established in consciousness. Do not wonder if it's working. Know that it must, because law never fails. So now I ask you, are you ready to speak like one who knows their true identity? Are you ready to issue assumptions of abundance to your consciousness, not from fear, but from divine authority? Are you ready to stop seeking and start being? Then prepare your consciousness, because now I will give you an exact sentence, a spiritual decree tested by time, proven by law, and fulfilled by consciousness. This sentence does not ask for money. It assumes it. It does not beg for supply. It claims it. And when you speak it rhythmically, daily, faithfully, and from the proper feeling, money must find you. The sentence is this: Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply. Let all that is mine by divine right now reach me in great avalanches of abundance. This is not poetic language, my friends. This is spiritual command. This is a living key forged in divine truth. When spoken from the proper consciousness, it moves mountains, dissolves delays, and releases divine provision through channels your rational mind could never predict. You are not speaking to a person. You are not pleading with an institution. You are issuing instruction to infinite consciousness, your source, your supply, the divine presence that orchestrates all visible manifestation. Let us examine this sacred sentence, word by word, so your soul may grasp its depth and your consciousness may assume it with unwavering authority. Infinite Spirit, you begin by addressing the source, not the job, not the bank, not the market. You bypass all limited channels and speak directly to the infinite. For money is not generated by man. It is distributed through man, but it flows from consciousness, from God, from your own wonderful imagination. When you say Infinite Spirit, you are declaring that your faith is not in economy, but in consciousness itself. You recognize that divine intelligence is the origin of all wealth. You return your attention to the storehouse of imagination, not the limitations of the world. Open the way. This is assumption in action, not suggestion. You are instructing divine law to remove all subconscious interference, dissolve every unseen block, and reveal the open door through which your supply flows. This is the law of non-resistance. You are not forcing outcomes. You are removing the assumption of obstacles. You are not pushing. You are assuming the way is already open. And consciousness, being perfect intelligence, knows exactly what channels must manifest. It may be a phone call, a canceled debt, a job offer, a creative idea, but it will be the perfect way, the natural way, the way that unfolds with ease. You do not decide how, you assume that the way is open. For my immediate supply. You do not assume for one day, you do not hope for someday. You assume now, you assume immediacy. Divine delay is never divine denial, but many have assumed vaguely, hoping for eventual provision. No more. You assume your immediate supply, because you know that in consciousness, there is no time. There is only divine order. What is yours exists already in the invisible realm of imagination. The only delay is in your assumption. But now, having assumed lawfully, you claim your supply in this moment. Not rushed, not desperate, but right on divine schedule, which is now. This portion of the sentence sets into motion the spiritual machinery that bypasses limitation, breaks through resistance, and floods your experience with provision. It is the law of assumption, replacing fear with faith. It is the law of manifestation, magnetizing invisible supply into visible form. As you speak these words, know that you are not merely repeating a spiritual formula. You are issuing a divine assumption. You are commanding consciousness to move, the channels to open, and the wealth already assigned to your experience to arrive without delay. You do not merely say this sentence, you assume it. You do not recite it from memory. You speak it from consciousness. You speak it as one who knows, one who no longer wonders, one who no longer doubts, one who has ceased from seeking and begun being. Let all that is mine, by divine right. These are not the possessions of ego, nor the riches of greed. These are not stolen treasures or hurried gains. These are the things that belong to you by spiritual law, already assigned, already prepared, already complete in consciousness. This phrase affirms that you do not steal what belongs to another, nor fear that your good interferes with someone else's blessing. You are not in competition, you are in assumption. When you say by divine right, you are assuming alignment with the highest good for all. You are invoking the law of harmony, blessings that bless everyone involved. There is no guilt in this supply, no confusion, no compromise, only perfect provision manifesting in perfect ways. Now reach me. This is the assumption of magnetic reception. You are not sending your good into the distance. You are assuming it into the now. You are issuing a retrieval command. These words dissolve all imaginary barriers. Time, fear, distance, disbelief. They remove the waiting room. They cancel delay. You speak not from lack trying to attract. You speak from law, assuming what is already yours. There is no begging in this consciousness. There is no uncertainty, only confident assumption. In great avalanches of abundance, this final phrase is sacred power. This is consciousness accepting no limitation. You are not assuming pennies or trickles. You are assuming avalanches, not drops but downpours, not portions but floods, not limited help but total overflow. This is the law of abundance in motion. You do not limit consciousness to small answers. You allow yourself to receive on the level of divine surplus. The avalanche metaphor is deliberate. Avalanches are massive, sudden, unstoppable. And that is how your good will appear when you assume this sentence with rhythm and conviction. Not by small, predictable channels, but by surprising, immense, undeniable manifestation. You may wake to news that erases your debt. You may be offered a position you never expected. You may receive a refund, a return, a reward, a release you cannot calculate. You cannot predict the channel, but you must trust the law. Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply. Let all that is mine by divine right now reach me in great avalanches of abundance. Speak this sentence daily, morning and night. Speak it when fear rises. Speak it when doubt tries to whisper. Speak it when lack appears to threaten. For this sentence is your spiritual sword. It cuts through appearances and commands divine reality to manifest. Speak it aloud, with rhythm, with breath, with finality. Do not mumble. Do not apologize. You are not a beggar. You are divine consciousness individualized. And let me say this clearly. It is not the sentence alone that brings the supply. It is the consciousness behind the sentence, the assumption of certainty, the inner agreement, the sacred authority of your spoken command. When you speak as one with infinite consciousness, when you issue this sentence as divine decree, when you repeat it faithfully and assumingly, then yes, money must find you. Not because you're lucky, but because you've assumed according to law. Let no one distract you from this truth. Let no thought dilute your assumption. You do not need to manipulate. You do not need to beg. You do not need to force. You need only to assume faithfully, assume rhythmically, assume boldly, and watch what must appear. This is the sentence. This is the key. This is the turning point. Now let us seal this truth deeper by reprogramming your subconscious mind to accept this sentence as your new financial reality. You have now heard the sentence, you have understood its meaning, but until your subconscious mind accepts it as truth, your outer experience will continue to reflect old assumptions. You see, the subconscious is the deep garden of consciousness. It does not respond to logic. It responds to repetition, to emotion, to imagery. It does not argue with you. It does not question your assumptions. It simply accepts what you allow it to assume often enough. This is why you must now take your spoken sentence and plant it deliberately into the fertile ground of your subconscious mind, day by day, night by night. Do not assume once and wonder. Do not whisper it timidly and hope. You must command it rhythmically until it becomes a living assumption in your being. Your subconscious mind has, until now, accepted phrases like, I can't afford it, money is tight, or there's never enough. And so your outer world has obeyed those assumptions. But now you replace those weeds with divine seed. You repeat the sentence, Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply, until your subconscious accepts it not as novelty, but as law, not as a wish, but as assumption. Do this first thing upon waking. Do this last thing before sleep. For in those moments, the subconscious is wide open, receptive, impressionable. Speak the sentence slowly, with feeling, as though you are writing it with fire across the surface of your soul. Imagine money already finding you. Unexpected payments, surprising breakthroughs, joyful overflow. See it, speak it, feel it, and assume it. You must create a rhythm, morning and evening, not 5 times today and never again, not when you feel like it, but with the discipline of one who understands law. Reprogramming is not mystical, it is mechanical. If you give the subconscious a new assumption enough times, it must obey. Do not worry if you don't feel different at first. Assume anyway. Do not stop when the outer world still looks unchanged. Assume anyway. You are assuming through appearances, not to them. You are issuing an assumption that bypasses circumstance and rewrites the invisible blueprint that creates visible results. You may begin to feel strange when assuming it. Good. That means the old programming is cracking. You may feel resistance. Good. That means you're interrupting the old assumption. But assume anyway. Assume through it. Assume until the sentence becomes more familiar than your fear. Now that you have received the truth, you are no longer a seeker. You are an assumer. You are no longer a questioner. You are a commander. And so I now place before you a sacred challenge. Not to test your worthiness, but to activate your assumption. For the next 7 consecutive days, you will speak this sentence, morning and night, without excuse, without doubt, without delay. Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply. Let all that is mine by divine right now reach me in great avalanches of abundance. You will say it with breath, you will say it with rhythm, you will say it aloud, not in your head, not in theory, but aloud, where the vibration is sent, where the assumption is activated. Each morning, before the world rushes in, you will pause and speak these words as law. You will declare them not like a beggar asking for mercy, but like consciousness itself issuing command. And each night, before you cross the threshold into sleep, you will speak again, sealing your subconscious with divine supply. This is not a mantra. This is not a charm. This is a lawful assumption spoken daily that will begin to shift consciousness, and consciousness governs experience. What you see today is only the echo of assumptions you've held in the past. If you want new results, new inflows, new money, new manifestations, you must assume a new consciousness. For these 7 days, you are forbidden from assuming lack. You will not say, I'm broke. You will not complain about money. You will not repeat the language of fear, debt, or delay. Your consciousness belongs to abundance now. Your assumptions are the construction crew of heaven, and I make this promise to you, as surely as divine law is exact. If you assume this sentence faithfully for 7 nights and 7 mornings, without contradiction, with reverence and rhythm, something will shift. You may receive a check, a debt forgiven, a job offer, a refund, a creative idea that changes everything. You do not need to know how. You need only to be faithful to the assumption. Do not ask, is it working? That question reveals disbelief. It must work. Law cannot lie. Consciousness does not forget. Your assumption never returns void. You do not assume to make something happen. You assume because it already has in consciousness. Let each day become more confident. Let each night become more surrendered. Let your voice become more aligned, more sure, more rhythmic. And do not just say it. Feel it. Feel the avalanche as you speak it. Picture the floodgates of wealth opening. Hear the sound of money flowing in. Let your whole being agree with your assumption. This challenge is not about money. It is about consciousness. It is about trust. It is about becoming the person who assumes wealth because they have become wealth in vibration. So take this seriously. Treat it as sacred. Write the sentence, carry it, speak it, and record what happens. Because when you assume truth, life rearranges itself to match your assumption. Say aloud now, I accept the 7-day challenge. I commit to assuming this sentence, morning and night. I expect divine demonstration, and I trust the law. You have now accepted your role as divine consciousness individualized. You have crossed from doubt to assumption. And now prepare for the return, for what you have assumed is already on its way to you. Tesla died clutching a theory that could have changed everything. In his final papers, he wrote about a discovery so profound that the government classified it for decades. He claimed he'd found the fundamental frequency of reality itself, the hidden signal that controls everything from human consciousness to the movement of galaxies. What if he was right? What if there's an invisible layer of reality operating beneath everything you can see, touch, or measure? And what if learning to tune into it could completely transform your life? Right now, something extraordinary is happening. Your heart is beating at 60 to 100 beats per minute. Your brain is firing electrical signals at specific frequencies. Even your DNA is vibrating at measurable rates. You are literally a walking symphony of frequencies, broadcasting a unique signature into the universe every single second. But here's what nobody tells you. You've never learned to hear your own song. I'm about to tell you something that will change how you see everything. Every emotion you've ever felt, every thought you've ever had, every person you've ever been attracted to or repelled by, none of it was random. It was all frequency matching. When you walk into a room and instantly feel uncomfortable, you're not imagining it. You're picking up discordant frequencies. When you meet someone for the first time and feel like you've known them forever, you're experiencing harmonic resonance. When you think about calling someone and they call you first, you're both tuned to the same energetic channel. Most people call this coincidence. Scientists are starting to call it quantum entanglement. I call it the most powerful force in your life that you've never been taught to use. Here's the mind-bending part. Reality isn't made of things, it's made of patterns, invisible rhythms, frequencies so subtle that 99% of people live their entire lives without ever noticing them. But the 1% who do, they seem to live in a completely different world. They attract opportunities effortlessly. Synchronicities happen to them constantly. They make decisions with uncanny accuracy. People are drawn to them. Money flows to them. Love finds them. It's like they have access to some secret information that everyone else is missing. They do. And you're about to discover what it is. Let me blow your mind with what quantum physicists have discovered. At the smallest levels of reality, smaller than atoms, smaller than electrons, nothing exists as solid matter. Instead, everything exists as waves of probability, vibrating possibilities waiting to become real. But here's the kicker. These particles don't behave predictably until they're observed. The observer literally changes the outcome. What we focus on, we influence. Our consciousness isn't just watching reality, it's actively creating it. This isn't metaphysical speculation. This is Nobel Prize-winning science. The observer effect is one of the most replicated phenomena in physics. Your attention acts like a cosmic remote control, selecting which channel of reality you experience. Think about that for a moment. If reality is made of frequencies, and consciousness can influence which frequencies become real, then you're not a victim of circumstances. You're a co-creator of your experience. But most people are creating unconsciously. They're broadcasting static instead of signal. They're tuned into frequencies of lack, fear, and limitation without even realizing it. And then they wonder why their lives feel stuck on repeat. Your thoughts aren't just private experiences happening inside your head. They're frequencies with measurable electromagnetic signatures. Scientists can now detect and even decode thoughts using brain scanning technology. Every thought you think is literally broadcasting a signal into the quantum field. Your emotions aren't just chemical reactions in your body. They're complex frequency patterns that extend far beyond your physical boundaries. This is why you can feel someone's mood from across a room. This is why crowds have energy. This is why some places feel sacred while others feel heavy. You are not separate from the world around you. You are embedded in a vast web of interconnected frequencies, constantly transmitting and receiving information at levels far below conscious awareness. Right now, you have a frequency signature as unique as your fingerprint. It's composed of your dominant thoughts, your emotional patterns, your beliefs about yourself and the world, your physical health, even your spiritual state. This signature is constantly broadcasting into the field around you. And here's the profound part. The universe responds to your frequency like a massive echo chamber. Whatever you broadcast, you attract back in the form of experiences, people, opportunities, and circumstances that match your signal. This is why some people seem to effortlessly attract success, while others struggle despite working twice as hard. It's not about effort. It's not about worthiness. It's not even about luck. It's about signal clarity. Let me give you some examples of how this works in real life. The frequency of fear. When you operate from fear, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, you broadcast a very specific signal. That signal attracts experiences that confirm your fears. You notice threats everywhere. Opportunities seem to disappear. People respond to your insecurity. You create the very reality you're afraid of, not because the universe is cruel, but because you're unconsciously requesting it through your frequency. The frequency of love. When you operate from genuine love, for yourself, for others, for life itself, you broadcast a completely different signal. People are drawn to you. Opportunities flow toward you. Problems resolve more easily. It's not magic. It's magnetism. Love is one of the highest frequencies in existence, and it naturally attracts more of itself. The frequency of gratitude. Gratitude is perhaps the most powerful frequency you can broadcast. When you're genuinely grateful, you're acknowledging abundance. You're saying yes to life. And life responds by giving you more to be grateful for. This isn't positive thinking. This is energetic alignment. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to change their external circumstances without first changing their internal frequency. They want a different life while broadcasting the same old signal. It's like trying to tune into a rock station while your radio is set to classical music. The station you want is broadcasting, but you're not aligned to receive it. So why don't we naturally know this? Why aren't we taught to work with frequency from childhood? Because we live in a world obsessed with the visible, the measurable, the real. We're conditioned to trust only what we can see, prove, or hold in our hands. We value solidity, structure, things that can be named and labeled. But frequency doesn't belong to that world. It can't be boxed or frozen. It lives in the invisible realm. This creates what I call the myth of solidity, the belief that reality is fixed, hard, and external to us. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Reality is soft, responsive, and deeply influenced by our internal state. From the moment we're born, we inherit frequencies from our environment. Our families have emotional patterns that we absorb. Our culture has belief systems that we download. Our education system teaches us to focus on problems rather than possibilities. Our media bombards us with frequencies of fear, scarcity, and separation. By the time we're adults, most of us are walking around with incredibly noisy signals. We're broadcasting a chaotic mix of inherited beliefs, unprocessed emotions, and unconscious patterns. No wonder life feels so random and difficult. Here's what's really happening. You have layers of frequency interference, preventing you from accessing your natural signal. It's like trying to tune into a clear radio station, while someone else is playing 5 different songs at the same time in the background. Emotional static, like unprocessed trauma, suppressed emotions, and chronic stress create interference in your signal. These lower frequencies literally jam your ability to access higher states of consciousness and attract positive experiences. Mental noise, like repetitive negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, and mental habits, create loops in your frequency. You end up broadcasting the same signal over and over, which is why your life can feel stuck in patterns. Environmental interference, like the people you spend time with, the media you consume, the spaces you inhabit, all of these are constantly influencing your frequency. If you're surrounded by negativity, it becomes much harder to maintain a clear positive signal. Cultural programming. Society teaches us to focus on lack, to compete rather than collaborate, to fear rather than trust. These programmed responses create automatic frequency patterns that run in the background of our consciousness. The good news, once you understand how this works, you can start to clear the static and tune into your authentic frequency. Learning to work with frequency consciously is like developing a new sense. At first, it seems impossible. Then gradually, you start to notice subtle patterns you never saw before. Eventually, it becomes as natural as seeing or hearing. Here's how the awakening process typically unfolds. Stage 1. Recognition. You start to notice that your internal state directly affects your external experiences. When you're feeling good, good things happen. When you're stuck in negativity, life reflects that back to you. This isn't just positive thinking. You're beginning to see the actual correlation between your frequency and your reality. Stage 2. Experimentation. You begin deliberately shifting your internal state and watching how your external world responds. You practice gratitude and notice more things to be grateful for appearing in your life. You focus on love and find that relationships improve. You align with abundance and opportunities start flowing. Stage 3. Integration. Working with frequency becomes second nature. You develop an intuitive sense of what frequencies you're broadcasting and receiving. You can feel the energy of spaces, people, and situations before your mind analyzes them. You make decisions based on energetic alignment rather than just logical analysis. Stage 4. Mastery. You realize that you are both the instrument and the musician. You can consciously choose which frequency to broadcast in any situation. Your life becomes a deliberate creation rather than a random series of events. You understand that changing your frequency is the most powerful way to change your life. But let me be clear. This isn't about spiritual bypassing or pretending everything is perfect. Working with frequency requires radical honesty about what you're actually broadcasting. Sometimes that means facing uncomfortable truths about your patterns, beliefs, and behaviors. So how do you actually tune your frequency? How do you clear the static and access your authentic signal? Here are the most powerful tools I've discovered. Number 1. Conscious breathing. Your breath is directly connected to your frequency. Shallow, anxious breathing broadcasts stress and fear. Deep, rhythmic breathing creates coherence in your nervous system and elevates your frequency. Spend just 5 minutes breathing consciously, and you can completely shift your energetic state. Number 2. Meditation and stillness. The more noise in your system, the harder it is to perceive subtle frequencies. Meditation isn't about emptying your mind. It's about clearing the static so you can hear your natural signal. Even 10 minutes of stillness daily can dramatically improve your frequency awareness. Number 3. Emotional clearing. Suppressed emotions create interference patterns in your frequency. Learning to feel and release emotions as they arise keeps your signal clear. This doesn't mean being emotional all the time. It means being emotionally honest and fluid. Number 4, frequency hygiene. Just like physical hygiene, you need frequency hygiene. This means being conscious about what you expose yourself to. The music you listen to, the news you consume, the conversations you engage in, the people you spend time with. All of these are either elevating or lowering your frequency. Number 5, alignment practices. Regularly check in with yourself. Does this feel aligned? Trust your body's wisdom. Your physical sensations are often more accurate than your thoughts when it comes to frequency recognition. If something makes you feel contracted, heavy, or drained, it's probably not aligned with your highest frequency. Number 6, nature connection. Nature operates at perfectly coherent frequencies. Spending time in natural environments automatically helps attune your system to more harmonious patterns. This is why being in nature feels so restorative. You're literally syncing up with coherent frequency patterns. Number 7, creative expression. Creativity is one of the most direct ways to express your authentic frequency. Whether it's art, music, writing, or any form of creative expression, you're broadcasting your unique signal when you create. This is why creative pursuits feel so fulfilling. You're aligned with your natural frequency. Number 8, service and contribution. When you focus on how you can serve or contribute to others, you naturally shift into higher frequencies. This isn't about self-sacrifice. It's about recognizing that we're all part of a larger frequency pattern, and when we support the whole, we elevate ourselves. Number 9, gratitude practice. Gratitude might be the single most powerful frequency shifting tool available. When you're genuinely grateful, you're broadcasting abundance, appreciation, and love. The universe responds by giving you more experiences that match those frequencies. Number 10, energy management. Learn to recognize what gives you energy and what drains it. High-frequency activities, people, and environments will energize you. Low-frequency experiences will deplete you. Manage your energy like the precious resource it is. Number 11, intention setting. Your intentions act like tuning forks, helping you align with specific frequencies. But here's the key. Your intentions must be backed by genuine emotion and belief. Empty affirmations don't work because they lack energetic substance. When people hear the term higher frequency, they often imagine something superior or exclusive, something reserved for monks or mystics. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding. Higher frequency doesn't mean better in a moral sense. It means more coherent, more aligned, more in sync with the underlying patterns of life. It's like the difference between a beautiful symphony and random noise. Both are made of sound waves, but one has harmony and the other has chaos. Living at a higher frequency doesn't make you special. It makes you effective. It means you move through life with less resistance because you're no longer pushing against the current. You're moving with it. Here's what actually happens when you consistently operate at higher frequencies. Synchronicity becomes normal. When you're aligned with your authentic frequency, the universe seems to conspire to support you. You think of someone, and they call. You need information, and it appears. You follow hunches that lead exactly where you need to go. This isn't luck. It's alignment. You're tuned into the same frequency as the opportunities and connections that serve your highest good. Intuition sharpens dramatically. Your intuition isn't a mystical power. It's your natural ability to perceive frequency patterns that your conscious mind hasn't yet analyzed. When you're operating at higher frequencies, your intuitive abilities become incredibly accurate. You can sense truth, not just in facts, but in feeling. You know things before you know how you know them. Relationships transform. People respond to frequency before they respond to words. When you're broadcasting authenticity, love, and coherence, others naturally feel safe and drawn to you. Toxic relationships fall away because there's no frequency match. Healthy relationships deepen because you're able to connect at more profound levels. Creativity explodes. Creativity flows most freely when you're aligned with higher frequencies. Ideas come effortlessly. Solutions appear. You tap into a source of inspiration that feels infinite. This is because creativity is essentially frequency expression. You're translating your unique vibrational signature into form. Health improves. Your physical body is constantly responding to your frequency. Stress, fear, and negativity create disharmony in your system, leading to illness and disease. Love, joy, and peace create coherence, supporting natural healing and vitality. This isn't alternative medicine. This is how your nervous system, immune system, and endocrine system actually function. Abundance flows. Money is energy, and it flows toward coherent frequency patterns. When you're aligned with higher frequencies, you naturally attract resources, opportunities, and support. This isn't about greed or materialism. It's about being an open channel for the flow of universal abundance. Purpose becomes clear. At higher frequencies, you can sense your unique role in the larger pattern of existence. Your purpose isn't something you have to figure out intellectually. It's something you feel into. You understand how your gifts and talents fit into the greater whole. Peace becomes your default state. Instead of peace being something you have to achieve, it becomes your natural state. Challenges still arise, but they don't disturb your fundamental equilibrium. You respond to life from a place of centeredness rather than reactivity. You become a healing presence. When you consistently operate at higher frequencies, you naturally become a source of coherence for others. People feel better around you. Conflicts resolve more easily when you're present. You become a tuning fork, helping others remember their own natural harmony. Now let's go deeper into the mysteries of frequency that most people never discover. Quantum physicists talk about something called the zero-point field, a realm of infinite potential that exists beneath physical reality. This field contains every possible version of your life, every potential outcome, every possible path. Your frequency determines which possibilities you can access and which ones remain invisible to you. When you raise your frequency, you literally gain access to higher possibilities that were always there but previously beyond your reach. It's like upgrading your consciousness to receive more channels of reality. But you're not just broadcasting your individual frequency. You're also participating in collective frequency fields. Your family has a collective frequency. Your community has one. Your nation, your species, even your planet operates at specific frequency ranges. These collective fields are incredibly powerful. They can either support your individual frequency or create interference. This is why it's so important to consciously choose the collective fields you participate in. The company you keep, literally and figuratively, determines which frequency ranges you have access to. And here's something that will stretch your understanding. Your frequency doesn't just attract experiences. It actually determines which timeline you experience. Every moment, infinite possible futures branch out from the present. Your frequency acts like a navigation system, guiding you toward the timeline that matches your energetic signature. When you make a significant frequency shift, you can literally shift timelines. Suddenly, possibilities that seemed impossible become inevitable. People from your past fall away while new people appear. Opportunities that were never available suddenly become obvious. You haven't just changed your perspective. You've changed your trajectory through the multiverse of possibilities. Also, when you're aligned with higher frequencies, your perception of time changes. Flow states, where time seems to stop or accelerate, are actually frequency alignment experiences. You're syncing up with the natural rhythm of creation itself. This is why some people accomplish incredible things, while others struggle to make progress. It's not about working harder. It's about aligning with the frequency of flow, where time becomes your ally, rather than your limitation. We're living through an unprecedented moment in human history. More people are becoming conscious of frequency and vibration than ever before. Ancient wisdom that was once hidden is becoming mainstream knowledge. Science is validating what mystics have known for millennia. This isn't happening by accident. We're experiencing a collective frequency shift that's awakening humanity to its true nature and potential. Old systems based on fear, control, and separation are breaking down because they're no longer sustainable at the frequencies we're evolving toward. This can look chaotic and frightening, but it's actually a necessary part of the awakening process. As more individuals raise their frequency, the collective frequency of humanity rises. This creates pressure on all the systems and structures that aren't aligned with higher consciousness. They must either evolve or dissolve. Many spiritual traditions speak of a new earth or a golden age. These aren't just metaphorical concepts. They're describing a collective frequency shift that transforms how we experience reality. When enough people operate at higher frequencies, we create new collective possibilities. Imagine a world where most people make decisions from love rather than fear, where cooperation replaces competition, where abundance is shared rather than hoarded, where creativity and consciousness are valued more than consumption and control. This isn't utopian fantasy. It's the natural result of collective frequency elevation. Every person who chooses to raise their frequency contributes to this collective shift. You're not just improving your own life. You're helping to birth a new paradigm of human consciousness. This is why your personal frequency work matters so much. You're not being selfish by focusing on your own spiritual development. You're being of service to the entire human family. Every time you choose love over fear, coherence over chaos, alignment over resistance, you're adding your frequency to the growing chorus of awakened consciousness. We've covered a lot of ground, but everything I've shared points to one simple truth. You are far more powerful than you've been taught to believe. You are not a victim of circumstances, genetics, or fate. You are a conscious creator, equipped with the ability to broadcast any frequency you choose. But with this power comes responsibility. Once you understand how frequency works, you can no longer pretend that your thoughts, emotions, and actions don't matter. You can no longer blame external circumstances for your internal state. You must take full ownership of the signal you're broadcasting. This can be overwhelming at first. It means that if your life isn't working, you have to look at what frequency you're holding. It means that changing your external world requires changing your internal world first. It means taking radical responsibility for your experience. But it also means incredible freedom. If you're creating your experience through frequency, then you can change your experience by changing your frequency. You're not stuck with the patterns you inherited. You're not limited by your past. You can tune into any frequency you choose, right now, in this moment. Start each day by consciously choosing your frequency. Before you check your phone, before you get caught up in the demands of the day, take a few moments to tune in. Ask yourself, what frequency do I want to broadcast today? How do I want to feel? What kind of energy do I want to contribute to the world? Then throughout the day, keep checking in. When you notice your frequency dropping, when you feel stressed, anxious, angry, or depleted, don't judge it. Simply recognize it and make a conscious choice to shift. Remember that your frequency doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone and everything around you. When you operate at higher frequencies, you give others permission to do the same. You become a catalyst for positive change in your family, your community, your world. Your coherent frequency helps heal the collective chaos. Your authentic expression helps others remember their own truth. Your commitment to growth helps accelerate the awakening of human consciousness.
Let me share something vital with you. You are not here to learn how to hear what you want. You are here to awaken to the realization that you already have it. The very act applying to manifest implies a state of life. And this is precisely what keeps you from your desires. Think for a moment about your breathing. Do you try to breathe? Do you wake up each morning with a detailed plan upon you will successfully inhale and exhale throughout the day? Of course not. Breathing is natural, it is automatic, it is already yours. This is exactly how manifestation works. Yet we've complicated it with endless techniques and methods. When you entered this room tonight, did you doubt that the chair would support you when you sat down? Did you rehearse affirmations about the chair's stability? Did you visualize yourself successfully sitting? No, you simply sat, knowing with complete certainty that the chair would support you. This absolute knowing, this natural assumption, is the state from which all manifestation flows. Consider how you use your imagination throughout the day. When you're wife, you don't try to imagine negative scenarios. They flow effortlessly. When you're excited about a future event, you don't strain to imagine it. The pleasant scenarios play in your mind with ease. This is because imagination is your natural state of being. It's not something you need to master. It's something you're already doing every moment of every day. Let me tell you about a student who came to me recently. She had been trying to manifest a new career for 3 years. She had vision boards, affirmation journals, and attended countless workshops. She meditated daily, visualized religiously, and yet felt further from her goal than when she started. Why? Because every action she took was rooted in the belief that she didn't have what she wanted. I asked her a simple question. When you go to sleep at night, do you try to dream, or do dreams simply come? This question changed everything for her. She realized that all her effort, all her trying was actually a declaration of absence. The very act of trying was a confession of lack. Your natural state is one of fulfillment. Just as a seed contains within it everything needed to become a mighty oak, you contain within you everything you could ever desire. The oak doesn't try to become. It simply unfolds according to its nature. Your desires are not something to be achieved. They are something to be revealed. Think about when you're engrossed in a good book or lost in a movie. You don't try to imagine the scenes. They naturally form in your mind. The characters become real. Their world becomes your world, and you experience every emotion as if it were happening to you. This is the natural power of your consciousness. It doesn't require effort. It requires allowing. Many of you have heard the phrase living in the end, but I want you to understand something crucial tonight. You are always living in the end of some assumption. Right now, you're living in the end of all your current assumptions about yourself and your world. These assumptions didn't require effort to maintain. They simply became your reality through acceptance. When you wake up in the morning, you don't try to be yourself, you simply are. You don't try to remember your name or your past experiences. They are simply there as part of your consciousness. This is how natural manifestation should feel. It's not about trying, it's about being. Let me share another profound truth. The feeling of effort in manifestation is actually resistance to what already is. When you try to manifest something, you're unknowingly pushing against your natural state of abundance. It's like trying to force a door open, but it's already unlocked. The very effort prevents the simple action of turning the handle. Consider a time when you fell in love. Did you try to feel love? Did you follow a 5-step process to generate those butterflies in your stomach? No, the feeling came naturally because you allowed it. The same is true for every state of consciousness. You don't need to try to enter a state. You need only to allow yourself to be aware of it. Many of you have created the elaborate rituals around manifestation. You convince yourselves that without these specific actions, without this precise sequence of steps, your desires cannot manifest. But I tell you now, these rituals are like training wheels on a bicycle. They may have helped you understand the concept, but they are not the essence of the ride. Think about your current financial situation. Whether you have abundance or scarcity in your bank account, you didn't have to try to maintain that state. It exists because of your deep, unwavering assumptions about money. These assumptions weren't created through effort. They were absorbed through experience and acceptance. The same is true for your relationships, your health, your career. Every aspect of your life is a reflection of assumptions you hold without effort. The key to transformation isn't in trying harder. It's in recognizing that a new state of consciousness is already available to you. I want you to notice something right now. Notice how effortlessly you're listening to my words. Notice how naturally the meanings form in your mind. Notice how easily you understand what I'm saying without trying to understand. This effortless comprehension is your natural state. Manifestation should be just as effortless. Let me share with you what happened when I first understood this truth. I have been studying these principles for years, diligently practicing techniques, following every method I could find. But one day, while watching a sunset, I realized something profound. The sun didn't try to set. The colors didn't try to be beautiful. The moment didn't try to be perfect. It simply was. In that moment, I understood that all my trying had been an elaborate distraction from a simple truth. I already was what I was trying to become. The very consciousness that allowed me to conceal my desires was the same consciousness that contained their fulfillment. Think about the time when you received unexpected good news. In that moment, did you try to feel joy? Did you attempt to manufacture happiness? No, the feeling flowed naturally from the assumption of good fortune. This is how manifestation works. It's not about trying to feel a certain way. It's about allowing yourself to assume a new state of being. Many of you have created vision boards and written detailed lists of your desires. These can be wonderful tools for clarification, but they become obstacles when you believe they are necessary for manifestation. The truth is, your desire exists because its fulfillment exists. They are two sides of the same coin. Consider how easily you recognize yourself in a mirror. You don't try to remember what you look like. You simply know it's you. This immediate recognition is how natural your desired state should feel. It's not something to achieve, it's something to recognize as already true. I'm reminded of a gentleman who attended one of my lectures. He had been trying to manifest a specific position in his company for 2 years. He had done everything right: visualization, affirmations, action steps. But the position remained elusive. When I explained this principle to him, he realized that his very dedication to the process was a declaration that he didn't have what he wanted. That night he stopped trying. Instead, he simply assumed the position was his. He didn't visualize it, affirm it, or take any special actions. He just knew it was done. Within a week, circumstances rearranged themselves, and he was offered the position. Not because he tried harder, but because he stopped trying altogether. Your world right now, every detail of it, exists without effort on your part. You don't try to maintain your current circumstances, they simply are. This same principle applies to any state you wish to experience. The trying keeps you locked in the consciousness of absence. Think about your name. When someone calls you, do you have to try to remember if that's really your name? Of course not. The recognition is immediate and effortless. This is how your desired state should feel, not something futility, but something that simply is. Many of you have spent years studying manifestation techniques. You've learned about vibration, attraction, alignment. But I tell you now, these are all descriptions of natural processes that happen by themselves. You don't need to understand how digestion works to digest your food. You don't need to comprehend the mechanics of sleep to fall asleep. Consider how easily you distinguish hot from cold, sweet from sour, pleasure from pain. These recognitions require no effort. They are natural functions of your consciousness. The same is true for manifesting your desires. The effort you're applying is actually preventing the natural expression of what already exists. Let me tell you about another student who struggled with concept. She had been trying to manifest perfect health, following every healing modality she could find. The more she tried, the worse her symptoms became. But she finally understood that health was her natural state. But she didn't need to try to be healthy. Her healing began. Not because she did anything different, but because she stopped doing altogether. Your consciousness is the only reality. Right now, you're conscious of being someone who needs to try to manifest desires. But I tell you, it's consciousness itself is what needs to shift. Not through effort, but through recognition. Think about how you know you exist. You need to prove it to yourself. Do you need to try to be? No, your existence is self-evident. It requires no effort, no proof, no maintenance. This same effortless knowing is available for any state you wish to experience. Many of you have created elaborate stories about why manifestation must be difficult. You've convinced yourselves that value comes through struggle, that rewards require effort. But look at nature. Does a flower try to bloom? Does a star try to shine? No, they simply express their nature. Your nature is unlimited consciousness. Every state, every experience, every possibility exists within you now. So trying is what keeps you from experiencing this truth. It's like trying to reach your hand when your hand is already part of you. The very act of trying creates an illusion of separation. Consider how easily you fall asleep when you're tired. You don't try to sleep. In fact, trying often keeps you awake. You simply allow suit to come. This same allowing is all that's needed for your desires to manifest. The trying is what keeps them at bay. I want you to understand something profound. The very fact that you can desire something means it already exists within your consciousness. You couldn't desire what you couldn't conceive, and you couldn't conceive what isn't already part of your consciousness. Think about dreaming. When you dream, entire worlds appear without effort. Character, situations, emotions all rise naturally from your consciousness. This same creative power is operating like now, creating your world. The only difference is that you convinced you that this world requires effort to change. Let me share one more story. A woman came to me devastated because she had been trying to manifest a loving relationship for years. She had done everything, dating apps, social events, personal development work, but every relationship fell short. When she finally understood that love was her natural state, that she didn't need to try to attract it, everything changed. She stopped seeking and started being the love she desired. Within months, she met her perfect partner, not through trying, but through allowing her natural state to express itself. Your desires are not separate from you. They are not distant goals to be achieved forever. They are expressions of your consciousness waiting to be recognized. The trying keeps them in future, the knowing brings them into the present. Think about how you know what you want. The knowing itself is effortless. You don't try to want what you want. The wanting arises naturally from your consciousness. This same naturalness applies to the having. The trying creates the illusion of distance between wanting and having. As we conclude tonight, I want you to realize something. Everything I said has been absorbed by your consciousness without effort. You didn't try to understand. Understanding happened naturally. This same effort was absorption. It's how manifestation works. It's not about trying, it's about allowing what already is to express itself through you. Remember, the oak is already in the acorn. The butterfly is already in the caterpillar. Your desired fate is already within you. Stop trying to become what you already are. Stop trying to achieve what is already yours. Stop trying to manifest what already exists. Your only task is to allow your natural state of fulfillment to express itself. This allowing requires no effort, no techniques, no special practices. It requires only the recognition that what you seek is already yours. Let this understanding sink into your consciousness now. Feel the relief of knowing that you don't have to try anymore. Feel the freedom of recognizing that what you desire already exists within you. Feel the peace of allowing your natural state of fulfillment to express itself. You are not here to learn how to manifest. You are here to remember that manifestation is your natural state. Everything you desire is already yours. The trying was the only thing keeping it from your experience. Go forth now, not in effort, but in the quiet comfort of knowing that you already have everything you desire. Let this knowing guide your steps, shape your thoughts, and create your reality, not through trying, but through being what you already are. For in truth, you have never lacked anything. You have never been separate from your desires. You have never needed to try. You have always been complete, whole, and fulfilled. The only change needed is in your recognition of this eternal truth. And with this recognition, your world will transform. Not because you tried to change it, but because you allowed it to reflect what was always true. Your natural state of fulfillment will express itself in every area of your life, creating exactly what you desire without ease, without trying, without struggle. For this is the true art of manifestation, not doing but being, not trying but allowing, not becoming but recognizing what already is. And now you know. And knowing is enough. Let this truth settle into your consciousness. Let it transform your world. Let it set you free from the bondage of trial. For in this freedom, in this natural state of being, everything you desire will flow to you as naturally as breath flows to your lungs and light flows from the sun. Treat of higher experience memory. When you recall a happy moment from your past, do you, stranger, remember the joy? Do you employ techniques to access that feeling? No, the memory and its associated emotion arise naturally in your consciousness. Consider this. Right now, as you sit here, you are simultaneously aware of being in this room and being the person you know yourself to be. This dual awareness requires no effort. You don't try to maintain your identity while being present in this space. Most states of consciousness coexist effortlessly. Many of you have created a practice of what you call living in the end. But I tell you now, you're always living in the end of some assumption. Every moment of your experience is the end result of states you've accepted as real. The person sitting here now is the end result of all the assumptions you've embraced without effort. Let me tell you about a remarkable transformation I witnessed. A gentleman who had attended my lectures for years approached me one day. He had been diligently practicing techniques to manifest financial abundance. Every morning he would spend hours visualizing wealth, repeating affirmations, and taking inspired action. Yet his financial situation remained unchanged. One evening, after hearing about this principle of natural manifestation, he had an epiphany. He realized that his very dedication to these practices was a declaration of not having what he desired. That night, he did something revolutionary. He stopped all his manifestation practices. Instead, he simply accepted that abundance was his natural state. Within 3 weeks, his entire financial reality transformed. Business opportunities appeared effortlessly. Long-standing debts were unexpectedly forgiven. A forgotten investment suddenly yielded substantial returns, not because he tried harder, but because he stopped trying altogether. Think about how you experience the present moment. You'll try to be here now. You simply are. This same effortless presence is all that's required to experience your desires. The trying creates resistance to what naturally is. Merely you develop complex rituals around your manifestation practice. You've convinced yourself that without these specific action, without these precise methods, your desires cannot materialize. But I ask you, does a tree need rituals to grow? Does the sun need techniques to shine? Does your heart need practices to beat? Your consciousness is infinitely more powerful than any technique. It is the very substance from which all experience springs. When you truly understand this, you'll see that all your trying has been like trying to wet water or heat fire, unnecessarily possible. Consider how naturally you fall into different states throughout your day. When you're absorbed in work, you don't try to be focused, you simply are. When you're relaxing with loved ones, you don't try to be at ease, you naturally are. This same effortless shifting of states is all that's required for manifestation. Let me share another truth that many find hard to accept. The very act of seeking guidance on manifestation is often a declaration of not having. When you attend workshops, read books, and practice techniques, you're unknowingly affirming that manifestation is something you need to learn, rather than your natural state to be. Think about how you know you're a liar. Do you need proof? Do you need techniques to maintain your existence? Of course not. This same natural knowing is available for every state you wish to experience. The techniques and practices, while well-intentioned, often serve as barriers to this natural knowing. I'm reminded of a young woman who had been trying to manifest a specific relationship. She had pleaded elaborate visualization scenarios, written detailed lists of qualities she desired, and performed countless manifestation rituals. Yet love seemed to elude her. One day she realized that all her trying was a declaration of absence. She stopped all her practices and simply accepted that love was her natural state. Within weeks, not only did she meet someone who embodied everything she desired, but she realized that this person had been in her life all along. Her trying had blinded her to what was already present. Your consciousness is like an infinite ocean. Every possible experience exists within it as a potential wave. You don't need to try to create waves. They arise naturally from the ocean's nature. Similarly, your desires arise naturally from your consciousness, and their fulfillment is as natural as waves are to the ocean. Think about how easily you distinguish between what you want and what you don't want. This knowing requires no effort. The same effortless knowing is available for experiencing what you desire. The trial only creates resistance to this natural flow. Many of you have created a hierarchy of desires, believing that some things are easier to manifest than others. But I tell you, through your consciousness, all manifestations are equally natural. Just as it's no harder for your mind to imagine an elephant than a mouse, it's no harder to manifest big things than small ones. Consider how naturally you accept the reality of your current circumstances. You don't wake up each morning trying to convince yourself that your current life is real. You simply know it is. This same natural acceptance is all that's required for any state you wish to exhibit. As we conclude this extended exploration of effortless manifestation, I want you to realize something profound. The very fact that you can understand these words, that you can grasp these concepts, proves that they already exist within your consciousness. You're not learning something new, you're remembering what you've always known. Your task now is simple. Though your mind may try to complicate it, stop trying. Stop fantasizing, stop seeking. Instead, allowing yourself to be what you already are, pure consciousness containing within itself every possible experience, every possible state. Let this understanding transform how you approach your desires. Instead of trying to manifest them, simply recognize that they already exist within you. Instead of working to achieve them, allow them to express themselves naturally through you. For in truth, there is nothing to achieve, nothing to attract, nothing to create. There is only the recognition of what already is, the acceptance of what has always been true, the allowing of your natural state to express itself in your experience. And with this recognition, with this acceptance, with this allowing, everything you desire will flow into your experience as naturally as breath flows into your lungs, as effortlessly as light fills a room, as inevitably as waves arise from the ocean. This is the final truth, the ultimate understanding. You are not a seeker of experiences. You are the source of all experience. You are not trying to become something. You already are everything you desire to be. Let this truth settle into your consciousness now. Let it transform your approach to life. Let it free you from the bondage of trying, seeking, and struggling. For in this freedom, in this natural state of being, everything you desire is already yours. Go forth now, not as someone trying to manifest, but as the natural manifestation of pure consciousness itself. Let your desires flow through you, as naturally as life flows through nature. For this is your true state, your natural being, your eternal reality. And it is done. Rest in this truth. Rest on this understanding. Be what you already are. For in this simple acceptance lies the fulfillment of all desires, the realization of all dreams, the manifestation of all possibilities. And now you know, and knowing is enough. This is where we'll conclude our time together. Though the truth we've explored will continue to unfold within your consciousness, revealing ever deeper layers of understanding, ever greater expressions of your natural state of fulfillment. Remember, you are not here to try, but to be. Not to become, but to recognize. Not to achieve, but to allow. For in this recognition, in this allowing lies the secret of effortless manifestation, the art of natural being, the truth of who you really are. Thank you.
My dear friends, for too long, you have been taught that you are powerless, that life happens to you, that you must accept whatever circumstances have been dealt to you. But I tell you now, with every fiber of my being, with every breath of truth that flows through me, this is the greatest lie ever told to man. You are not powerless. You are not victims. You are not at the mercy of a cruel and capricious fate. The universe, this magnificent, responsive, living field of infinite possibility, is not your master. It is your servant. It does not command you. You command it. It does not dictate to you. You dictate to it. The universe will obey you, must obey you, because you are the operant power in your own experience. Today, I will strip away the veils of illusion that have kept you in bondage. I will show you the mechanics of creation itself. I will teach you to pray not as beggars, but as gods. For that is what you are. Gods in amnesia, creators who have forgotten their power, artists who have lost sight of their canvas. Listen carefully, for what I am about to tell you will shatter everything you think you know about the nature of existence. Reality, this solid, seemingly immutable world around you, is not what it appears to be. It is not fixed. It is not permanent. It is not even real in the way you have been taught to understand reality. Reality is consciousness, is mind. It is imagination made visible. The world you see, touch, and experience is nothing more than your own consciousness pushed out, objectified, made manifest in the theater of space and time. I have seen the faces of those who believe themselves trapped by circumstances, and I have witnessed the transformation of those who discovered their power. The difference between them is not luck, not privilege, not even circumstances. It is understanding. The mystics of old knew this truth. They spoke in parables and symbols because the human mind, trapped in its limited understanding, could not grasp the full magnitude of what they were revealing. When they said the kingdom of heaven is within you, they were not speaking metaphorically. They were stating a literal fact. The power to create heaven on earth lies within your very consciousness. Modern science, in its relentless pursuit of truth, has stumbled upon this same revelation. At the quantum level, reality exists in a state of infinite potential, waves of possibility that collapse into particles of experience only when observed. You are that observer. You are the one who chooses, moment by moment, which possibility becomes your reality. But here is where science and spirituality meet in perfect harmony. The observer is not passive. The observer is creative. The observer shapes reality through the very act of observation. And what determines the nature of that observation? Your assumptions, your beliefs, your dominant feeling states, your imagination. Assumption, this simple word, holds the key to all creation. When you assume something to be true, when you accept it as fact in your consciousness, you set in motion forces that must bring it to pass. The universe has no choice in the matter. It must conform to your assumptions, because assumption is the creative power of consciousness itself. I have seen miracles born from assumption. I have witnessed the impossible become inevitable through the power of one person's unwavering assumption. A woman assumes she is loved, and love flows to her from sources she never could have imagined. A man assumes he is successful, and opportunities appear as if the universe itself is conspiring to fulfill his assumption. But I have also seen the tragic power of negative assumption. People assume they are unlucky, and misfortune follows them like a shadow. They assume they are unworthy, and life reflects that unworthiness back to them in 1,000 painful ways. They assume they are limited, and limitation becomes their prison. The universe does not judge your assumptions. It does not deem them right or wrong, good or bad. It simply obeys them. It is the perfect servant, responding to your every command with mathematical precision. But understand this. Your assumptions are your commands. Every assumption you hold is an order given to the universe, and the universe must fill that order. This is why I implore you to examine your assumptions with the care of a jeweler examining a precious stone. What are you assuming about yourself? About your possibilities? About your worth? About your future? These assumptions are not idle thoughts. They are the very blueprints from which your reality is constructed. I remember a man who came to me in despair. He had been unemployed for months, and everywhere he looked, he saw only rejection and closed doors. The world is against me, he said. There are no opportunities for someone like me. I looked at him with compassion and said, my friend, you are absolutely right. As long as you assume there are no opportunities, there will be none. As long as you assume the world is against you, it will be. But what if you dared to assume the opposite? This man, through practice and persistence, began to assume that opportunities were everywhere, that the world was eager to reward his talents, that he was exactly what employers were looking for. Within weeks, not days, but weeks, his world transformed. The same employers who had previously rejected him were now calling him. The same world that had seemed hostile now appeared friendly and welcoming. What changed? Not the world. The world is always neutral. What changed was his assumption, and with it, his reality. Oh, but how the word prayer has been corrupted, how it has been twisted into an act of begging, of pleading, of desperate supplication to a distant and often indifferent God. I tell you now, this is not prayer, this is spiritual poverty. True prayer is not begging or asking. True prayer is not hoping or wishing or pleading. It is the art of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is the conscious act of inhabiting the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire already being real. When you pray effectively, you do not reach outward with empty hands. You reach inward to the infinite storehouse of possibilities that exists within your own consciousness. You select the reality you wish to experience, and you feel it as true. You inhabit it. You become it. I have taught this truth for decades, and I have seen it transform lives in ways that would be called miraculous if people understood that miracles are simply the natural result of conscious creation. A mother prays for her child's healing, not by begging a distant God, but by assuming the feeling of her child already being whole and perfect. A man prays for abundance not by pleading for money, but by inhabiting the consciousness of already being prosperous. This is the prayer that moves mountains, that parts the waters, that brings the dead back to life. Not because it convinces some external deity to intervene, but because it aligns consciousness with the reality that already exists in the infinite field of possibilities. When you pray as I teach you to pray, you do not pray for something to happen. You pray from the reality of it already having happened. You thank the universe, not for what you hope to receive, but for what you already possess in consciousness. You feel the gratitude, the joy, the relief of having received what you desire. And here is the beautiful paradox. The moment you truly feel your desire as already fulfilled, the desire itself disappears. You no longer want it because you have it. You no longer seek it because you are it. You have closed the gap between desire and fulfillment, not by getting what you want, but by becoming what you want. If assumption is the seed, then feeling is the soil in which that seed grows. Without feeling, assumption is merely an intellectual exercise. With feeling, assumption becomes a creative force that reshapes reality itself. Feeling is the secret. These words contain more power than entire libraries of philosophy. Your feeling state is your creative state. Your emotions are not just reactions to circumstances, they are the very forces that create circumstances. I have observed people who intellectually understand these principles, but fail to apply them successfully. They know that assumption creates reality, but they cannot seem to manifest their desires. Why? Because they are missing the crucial element, feeling. They assume with their minds, but not with their hearts. They think the right thoughts, but do not feel the right feelings. The universe does not respond to your thoughts. It responds to your feelings. It responds to your emotional state. It responds to the vibration you emit through your being. When you feel truly abundant, you attract abundance. When you feel genuinely loved, you attract love. When you feel deeply grateful, you attract more reasons to be grateful. But here is where most people stumble. They try to feel good about their current circumstances instead of feeling good about their desired circumstances. They wait for evidence before they allow themselves to feel fulfilled. They make their emotional state dependent on external conditions. This is backwards. This is the thinking of the old world, the world of effect, rather than cause. You do not feel good because good things happen to you. Good things happen to you because you feel good. You do not feel loved because someone loves you. Someone loves you because you feel loved. I remember a woman who came to me broken-hearted. She had been rejected by the man she loved, and she was convinced that she was unlovable. Her heart was closed. Her spirit was crushed, and she radiated the energy of rejection and unworthiness. How can I attract love? She asked me, when I feel so unloved. I said to her, my dear, you have the sequence reversed. You do not wait to feel loved until someone loves you. You feel loved first, and then someone must love you. The universe is a mirror, and it can only reflect back to you what you are already being. She began to practice feeling loved, not because of any external reason, but simply because she chose to feel loved. She imagined herself being cherished, adored, treasured. She felt the warmth of being held, the joy of being chosen, the security of being valued. She did this not once, but daily, until this feeling became her natural state. Within months, not one but several men entered her life, each recognizing in her the very quality she had been cultivating within herself. She had not changed anything external. She had simply changed her internal state, and the external world had no choice but to conform to that change. The goal of all these teachings is to help you live from the end. This means living not from the state of wanting your desire, but from the state of having it. It means not seeking what you wish to be, but being what you wish to be. It means not hoping for a different future, but living from that future now. Living from the end requires a fundamental shift in identity. You must become the version of yourself who naturally possesses what you desire. You must walk as that person, speak as that person, think as that person, feel as that person. When this becomes your natural state, not an act you put on, but the truth of who you are, manifestation is not just possible, it is inevitable. I have observed that people struggle with this concept because they confuse having with getting. They think living from the end means pretending to have what they don't have. But living from the end is not pretense. It is presence. It is being present to the reality that already exists in consciousness. A man who lives from the end of financial abundance does not pretend he has money when he doesn't. He lives from the consciousness of abundance. He feels abundant. He thinks abundant thoughts. He makes abundant choices. He radiates the energy of abundance. And because the universe must mirror consciousness, abundance has no choice but to manifest in his experience. This is the great paradox of creation. You must be it before you can have it. You must become it before you can receive it. You must live from it before you can live in it. The external world is always the effect, never the cause. Consciousness is always the cause, never the effect. I remember a young artist who dreamed of international recognition. She had talent, but she had not yet achieved the success she desired. I taught her to live from the end of already being a celebrated artist. She began to feel the gratitude of having her work displayed in galleries around the world. She imagined the joy of receiving accolades from critics and collectors. She felt the satisfaction of being recognized for her genius. At first, nothing seemed to change in her external circumstances. But gradually, subtly, her world began to shift. She started making different choices. She began to value her work differently. She carried herself with the confidence of someone who knew her worth. And the world, sensing this change in her, began to respond differently to her. Within 2 years, her work was being shown internationally. Critics were calling her a rising star. Collectors were seeking out her pieces. She had not become successful in order to feel successful. She had felt successful first, and success had followed as naturally as morning follows night. In the process of conscious creation, there comes a moment that is perhaps the most difficult for the human mind to understand and accept, the moment of rest. After you have assumed, after you have felt, after you have lived from the end, you must enter what I call the Sabbath, a state of perfect rest and complete trust. This is the moment when you stop trying to make it happen. This is the moment when you stop looking for signs and searching for evidence. This is the moment when you simply rest in the knowing that it is done. You have planted the seed in the fertile soil of consciousness, and now you must trust that it will grow in its own time and in its own way. This is where most people fail. They assume their desire fulfilled. They feel it as true. They live from the end, and then they immediately begin to worry about how it will manifest. They look for signs of its coming. They become anxious when they don't see immediate results. They dig up the seed to see if it's growing. But the law of manifestation requires a period of gestation. Just as a seed must spend time in the darkness of the soil before it can break through into the light, your assumption must spend time in the darkness of the invisible before it can emerge into the visible. This is not delay. This is the natural rhythm of creation. During this Sabbath period, you must guard your assumption jealously. You must not allow doubt to creep in. You must not allow impatience to disturb your peace. You must not allow the evidence of your senses to contradict the truth of your assumption. You must rest in the certainty that what you have assumed is already true in the only realm that matters, the realm of consciousness. I have seen people manifest their desires in days, and I have seen others take months or even years. The difference is not in the difficulty of the desire, it is in the quality of the Sabbath. Those who manifest quickly are those who enter the Sabbath completely. They assume, they feel, they rest, and they trust. They do not waver. They do not doubt. They do not interfere with the natural process of manifestation. As you practice these teachings, as you begin to live from the consciousness of your desires fulfilled, you will start to notice something magical happening in your world. Synchronicities will multiply. Meaningful coincidences will increase. The right people will appear at the right time. The right opportunities will present themselves. The right resources will become available. These are not accidents. These are not coincidences. These are the universe rearranging itself to match your new assumptions. These are the signs that your consciousness is successfully impressing itself upon the field of infinite possibility. Do not be surprised by these signs. Expect them. Do not be amazed by these synchronicities. Welcome them. But do not make the mistake of becoming so fascinated by the signs that you forget the state. The signs are the effect. The state is the cause. The signs are the shadow. The state is the substance. I remember a woman who was assuming the reality of her perfect marriage. She had been single for years, but she lived from the consciousness of being happily married. She felt the joy of sharing her life with someone who loved and cherished her. She imagined coming home to a loving partner. She felt the warmth of being chosen and valued. As she persisted in this assumption, signs began to appear. She would see couples everywhere, holding hands, laughing together, radiating love. She would overhear conversations about weddings and anniversaries. She would find herself in situations where she was surrounded by happily married people. Some might have seen these as painful reminders of what she didn't have, but she understood them as signs that her assumption was taking root in consciousness. Soon, a friend invited her to a small gathering. There, she met a man who seemed to recognize her instantly. Their conversation flowed effortlessly. Their connection was immediate and profound. Within a year they were married, and she found herself living the exact reality she had been assuming all along. The signs were not random. They were the bridge between her assumption and its manifestation. They were the universe's way of preparing her for the reality she had already claimed in consciousness. The deepest and most profound work of conscious creation is not the manifestation of things, it is the transformation of identity. When you truly understand and apply these teachings, you do not just get different results, you become a different person. You do not just change your circumstances, you change yourself. This transformation is not superficial. It is not merely a change in behavior or attitude. It is a fundamental shift in your understanding of who you are and what you are capable of. You begin to see yourself not as a victim of circumstances, but as the creator of circumstances. You begin to understand yourself not as a passive observer of life, but as an active participant in the creation of life. This shift in identity is perhaps the most precious gift these teachings can offer. Because once you know who you truly are, once you understand your power, your divinity, your creative authority, you can never again be fooled into believing that you are powerless. You can never again be convinced that you are at the mercy of forces beyond your control. I have watched people undergo this transformation, and it is beautiful to behold. A man who once saw himself as unlucky begins to see himself as blessed. A woman who once believed she was unworthy begins to know herself as precious. A person who once felt powerless begins to recognize their infinite creative potential. This transformation is not immediate. It is a process. It requires patience, persistence, and practice. But every time you successfully assume a new reality and see it manifest, you strengthen your understanding of who you are. Every time you revise your past and see its effects change, you deepen your knowledge of your power. Every time you live from the end and watch the beginning rearrange itself, you confirm your divine nature. The path of conscious creation is not always easy. There will be moments when doubt creeps in. There will be times when the evidence of your senses contradicts your assumptions. There will be periods when it seems like nothing is working, when your desires seem as distant as ever. In these moments, remember that persistence is the price of admission to the kingdom of fulfilled desires. The universe is testing not your worthiness, but your commitment. It is asking not whether you deserve your desires, but whether you are willing to persist in your assumption despite contrary evidence. I have observed that most people give up just before their breakthrough. They assume, they feel, they even begin to see signs, and then they encounter a challenge that seems to contradict their assumption. Instead of persisting, they abandon their assumption and return to their old patterns of thought and feeling. But those who persist, who continue to assume despite contrary evidence, who maintain their feeling states despite challenging circumstances, these are the ones who experience what the world calls miracles. They are the ones who transform their lives completely. They are the ones who prove that the universe will indeed obey consciousness. Persistence does not mean strain or struggle. It means returning again and again to your assumption, to your feeling, to your state of being. It means gently correcting yourself when you slip back into old patterns. It means choosing your desired reality over and over again, regardless of what your senses tell you. But with great power comes great responsibility. When you understand that you are the creator of your experience, you must also accept responsibility for what you have created. This is not a burden, it is a liberation. Because if you created your current reality, you can create a different one. But this responsibility extends beyond yourself. When you know that consciousness creates reality, you become responsible for the consciousness you hold, not just about your own life, but about the world around you. You become responsible for the assumptions you make about others, the judgments you pass, the energy you contribute to the collective human experience. This is why I teach not just the mechanics of manifestation, but the ethics of creation. Use your power wisely. Assume the best for others as well as for yourself. See the world not as it appears, but as it could be. Hold the vision of a world filled with love, abundance, peace, and joy. Your individual consciousness contributes to the collective consciousness of humanity. I have seen people use these teachings to transform not just their own lives, but the lives of everyone around them. A teacher who sees the genius in every student helps those students discover their own brilliance. A parent who assumes the best for their children helps those children become their best selves. A leader who holds the vision of a thriving community helps that community thrive. My dear friends, as we conclude this journey together, I want you to understand one final crucial truth. You are not learning something new. You are remembering something ancient. You are not acquiring a power that is foreign to you. You are reclaiming a power that has always been yours. You are gods. You are creators. You are the artists of your own experience. This is your divine heritage. This is your birthright. This is not fantasy. This is your reality. The universe will obey you because you are the universe. The universe will serve you because you are the universe experiencing itself subjectively. The universe will respond to your consciousness because consciousness is all there is. You have been playing a game of hide and seek with yourself. You have been pretending to be powerless so that you could experience the joy of discovering your power. You have been pretending to be separate so that you could experience the bliss of remembering your unity. You have been pretending to be human so that you could experience the wonder of awakening to your divinity. But the game is over now. The hiding time is finished. It is time to seek and find. It is time to remember who you are, to reclaim your power, to step into your role as the conscious creator of your experience. The universe is waiting. It has always been waiting. It is your faithful servant, your obedient mirror, your loving partner in the dance of creation. Speak to it through your assumptions. Command it through your feelings. Direct it through your consciousness. And watch as it responds with perfect precision to your every instruction. You are not powerless. You are not victims. And you are not at the mercy of circumstances. You never were. You are the creators of circumstances, the authors of your story, the architects of your reality. The begging is over. The pleading is finished. The waiting is done. Go forth and create. The universe will obey you because you are the universe. And the universe always obeys itself. This is your truth, your power, your destiny. Claim it, live it, be it, and watch as the world transforms around you, reflecting back to you the magnificent reality of who you truly are.
Many of us have bought a lottery ticket at some point, hoping for a life-changing win. But what if I told you there's a way to make that hope a reality? What if the lottery is more than just luck? The first step in this journey begins with your mind, your imagination. You see, the mind is not just a tool for thinking. It's a creator of realities. When you play the lottery, don't just purchase a ticket. Purchase it with the belief that you have already won. See it, feel it, and know that it is yours. Every time you hold that ticket, you are holding a confirmation of your desire already fulfilled. Feel the emotions of winning, the excitement, the joy, the peace. Your emotions are not separate from your desires. They are the very fuel that propels them into existence. When you feel the winning, you are aligning yourself with the frequency of abundance. You must become the person who has already won, not in the distant future, but right now. It is essential that you release all doubt. Doubt is the thief of manifestation. When you let go of uncertainty and fully accept that your win is inevitable, you free yourself to receive it. Let the thought of winning be as natural to you as breathing. Be specific. What will you do with your winnings? What dreams will you live out? The more detailed and vivid your vision, the stronger the pull it has to manifest. The universe responds to precision. While you hold this image, detach from the how and when. You do not need to know the mechanics of how your win will unfold. The moment you let go of the need to figure out the process, the universe takes over. Your belief is enough. Next time you play the lottery, do not just see it as a game of chance. Play it with the full awareness that the game is yours to win. Hold your ticket not as a dream, but as a reminder that your desires are already being brought into existence. There is magic in your belief, in your imagination, and in your faith, that what you desire is already yours. Trust in the power within you. The magic isn't just in the numbers. It's in the belief you carry that your desires are already fulfilled. Play the game of life, not as a spectator, but as the creator of your own reality. The power of imagination is one of the most profound forces in shaping our lives. It is not just a passing daydream or a fleeting thought. Imagination is the very blueprint of reality. Your mind is not a passive observer of the world. It is an active participant in the creation of your experience. Everything you see, hear, and touch began as an idea in someone's mind. It was first imagined before it ever became real. Likewise, the life you are living today is a reflection of the thoughts and images you have been holding in your own imagination. To understand the power of imagination, you must first realize that your thoughts are far more than just mental noise. They are the very building blocks of your reality. When you imagine something, you are not merely thinking about it, you are creating it. Your thoughts are powerful magnets that attract the people, situations, and experiences that match the frequency of those thoughts. They are like seeds planted in the soil of your subconscious mind, and as you continue to nurture those thoughts, they begin to take root and grow into your external world. But not all thoughts are created equal. The key to using your imagination effectively lies in conviction. It is not enough to simply think about something. You must think about it with certainty and belief. When you hold a vision in your mind and truly believe in its reality, you are sending a signal to the universe that you expect it to unfold. Conviction is the spark that ignites the power of imagination. It is the energy that transforms a fleeting thought into a tangible experience. Many people make the mistake of imagining something they desire, but without fully committing to the belief that it can be theirs. They might imagine winning the lottery, for example, but they simultaneously entertain doubts or fears that it could never happen. The power of imagination cannot work in the presence of doubt. It is only when you fully accept the image you've created in your mind that it can begin to materialize in your physical reality. This is why it is so important to align your imagination with your emotions. Imagination alone is powerful, but when you add emotion to the mix, it becomes even more potent. Emotions are the fuel that energize your thoughts. The more intensely you feel the joy, excitement, and gratitude of already having what you desire, the stronger your signal becomes. The universe does not respond to your desires based on what you think. You are answered based on what you feel. If you feel abundant, you attract abundance. If you feel love, you attract love. If you feel success, you attract success. It's also crucial to remember that your imagination is not confined by time or space. You do not need to wait for the right moment or the right circumstances to begin imagining your desired life. Imagination transcends these limitations. The moment you begin to imagine, you are already creating. The future you wish for already exists in the realm of your imagination. It's simply waiting for you to claim it. One of the most powerful aspects of imagination is its ability to override the limitations of the present. If your current reality doesn't reflect the life you want to live, your imagination gives you the freedom to step into the version of yourself who already has everything you desire. This is where many people falter. They look at their present circumstances and allow them to dictate what's possible. But your circumstances are not the truth of who you are. They are just a reflection of past thoughts and beliefs. The present moment is fluid, and your imagination has the power to shape it. When you begin to fully grasp the power of your imagination, you will realize that you are not a passive observer in life. You are the creator. Every thought, every image you hold in your mind is a stroke on the canvas of your reality. The more clearly and vividly you see your desired outcome, the quicker it will begin to appear in your life. Imagination is the first step, but belief and emotion are what bring it into form. The next time you catch yourself imagining something, remember that it is not just a harmless daydream. Your thoughts are a powerful tool for creation. You are not merely thinking, you are laying the foundation for your future. Hold your vision with conviction, fuel it with emotion, and watch as the world around you begins to shift and align with the reality you've imagined. The life you desire is already yours. It is waiting for you to claim it through the power of your imagination. Emotional alignment is one of the most powerful principles you can embrace in the process of manifesting your desires. It goes far beyond simply thinking about what you want or imagining it in your mind. Emotional alignment requires you to step into the feeling of already having what you desire. It's not enough to envision your success. You must become it. You must embody the emotions of having already achieved your goal, because it is in those emotions that the true power of manifestation resides. The universe responds not just to your thoughts, but to the vibrational frequency you are emitting. Everything in the universe is energy, and emotions are a direct expression of your energy. When you align your emotional state with the reality you wish to create, you are signaling to the universe that you are ready to receive it. Your feelings are magnetic. They draw towards you the experiences, people, and opportunities that match the vibration you are emitting. Therefore, if you want to attract abundance, success, love, or anything else, you must first align your emotional state with the feelings of already having those things. Imagine for a moment that you have just won a large sum of money. Your mind instantly creates an image of what that would look like. Perhaps you see yourself celebrating with friends, buying your dream home, or traveling the world. But what truly matters in that moment is not the image itself, but the feelings that arise within you. How would you feel in that moment? Joyful, relieved, excited, grateful? These emotions are the true currency of creation. To manifest your desires, you must learn to feel those emotions now, not in the future, but in the present moment. The secret is to act as if you have already won, to embody the victory even before the physical evidence appears. This may sound difficult at first, especially if your current circumstances do not reflect what you desire, but it is in this very practice that you begin to shift your reality. Feeling the emotions of success, love, or fulfillment, even if you don't yet have them in your physical world, aligns your energy with the future you wish to create. When you feel the emotions of already having won, you create a powerful alignment between your inner world and the outer world you want to experience. You no longer need to chase after your desires because you are already living in the state of having them. Many people make the mistake of waiting for their desires to manifest before they allow themselves to feel the emotions associated with success. They think, when I get the money, then I'll feel abundant, or when I find the right partner, then I'll feel loved. This is backward thinking. The secret to creating anything in your life is to feel the emotions of already having it, even before the physical evidence is present. It's the feeling that fuels the creation process. This emotional alignment is what moves you from being in a state of lack to one of abundance. When you feel like a winner, when you genuinely embody the emotions of success and gratitude, you stop identifying with scarcity or limitation. You begin to identify with the version of yourself who has already achieved their goals. This shift in identity is crucial because your identity dictates how you experience the world. When you align with the emotions of your desired reality, you also align with the identity of the person who already has it. And once that alignment occurs, the universe begins to match your frequency by bringing you the experiences, people, and opportunities that align with that energy. Feeling your emotions as if your desires have already come true helps to build trust in the process. When you cultivate the emotions of already having received what you want, you send a clear signal to the universe that you trust its timing and its ability to deliver. You are no longer in a state of doubt or impatience, but in a state of deep belief that what you desire is already on its way. The next time you think about your dreams or goals, don't just visualize them, feel them. Let yourself bask in the emotions of success, joy, and fulfillment. Feel the gratitude as if it has already happened, and allow those feelings to become your new reality. The more you practice emotional alignment, the quicker your outer reality will begin to match the vibrational frequency you are sending out into the world. You are not just imagining your success, you are living it, right now, in every thought and emotion you experience. Doubt is the enemy of creation. It is the silent force that works against the flow of your desires, casting shadows on the powerful energy that could bring them into reality. When you doubt, you disconnect from the very source that holds the key to your dreams. Doubt clouds your vision and weakens your belief, making it impossible for your desires to manifest as they should. It is essential, therefore, to release doubt completely, as it has no place in the creative process. The true catalyst for manifestation lies in unwavering belief, in knowing that what you desire is already yours, and trusting that the universe will deliver it in its perfect time and way. At the core of manifestation is the law of assumption. When you assume that your desire is already a reality, you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the version of yourself who has already received it. The act of doubting this assumption creates resistance, disrupting the natural flow of your desires into your life. Doubt tells the universe that you are unsure, that you don't fully believe in your ability to receive what you want. When you project this uncertainty, you are essentially telling the universe, I am not ready for this. But when you let go of doubt, you create an open channel for your desires to come to you effortlessly. When you feel doubt creeping in, remind yourself that your thoughts are not permanent truths. Just as easily as you can think a doubtful thought, you can replace it with a thought of belief and trust. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to shift your mindset from one of uncertainty to one of total faith. Every time doubt enters your mind, pause and consciously choose to release it. Affirm to yourself, I trust that what I desire is already on its way. It is already mine. This simple act of faith shifts the entire energetic landscape, bringing you back into alignment with the manifestation process. Trusting that you have already received what you desire is the key to unlocking the doors of manifestation. Trust that everything is unfolding perfectly, even if you cannot yet see it in your physical reality. The universe operates on its own timing, and while you may not always understand the how or the when, you must trust that it is working in your favor. The very fact that you have a desire means that the seeds of its fulfillment are already planted. Your job is to nurture that seed with belief and trust, allowing it to grow into the reality you've envisioned. One of the most important aspects of releasing doubt is learning to detach from the how and when. Often, we become fixated on how our desires will come to us and when they will arrive. This attachment creates anxiety and reinforces doubt because the mind is trying to control the process. The truth is, you do not need to know how your desires will manifest, nor do you need to worry about the timeline. Your belief is enough. The universe is always at work behind the scenes, arranging the perfect circumstances for your desires to unfold. Your role is to trust the process and believe that it is already happening. As you release doubt and embrace faith, you will begin to feel lighter, more confident, and at peace. Doubt no longer holds power over you. You will be able to look at your desires not as distant hopes, but as inevitable realities. You will trust in your own ability to create the life you desire. And in doing so, you will see the magic of manifestation unfold before you. The key to this process is knowing that your inner belief is the most important tool in creating your reality. When you trust, when you believe with every fiber of your being that what you desire is already yours, you unlock the door to limitless possibilities. Doubt cannot enter when your belief is unwavering. It is in the absence of doubt that you find the true power to manifest everything you want. Clarity is the cornerstone of successful manifestation. When you are clear about what you want, you create a precise and powerful vibration that aligns your inner world with your desired outcome. The universe operates on a frequency of energy, and in order to attract your desires, you must send out a clear and specific signal. The more specific you are in your desire, the more easily the universe can respond to your request. Vague desires result in vague manifestations. To truly harness the power of manifestation, you must know exactly what you want and visualize it with unwavering clarity. The process of manifestation begins with an idea, a thought or desire that sparks within you. This desire has the potential to become a reality, but in order for this to happen, you must refine that idea. A general wish, such as "I want more money" or "I want to be happy," lacks the detail that is necessary to bring it into form. When you ask for more money without specifying an amount, the universe may respond in ways you don't expect, and you may not even notice when your desire is fulfilled. Clarity brings precision to your requests and ensures that you are asking for exactly what you want, not just an ambiguous version of it. Imagine you are standing before a blank canvas, ready to create a masterpiece. If you don't have a clear vision of what you want to paint, your brush strokes may wander aimlessly, producing a result that feels incomplete or unsatisfying. Similarly, when you approach manifestation with uncertainty, your desires become scattered and the universe struggles to bring them into your reality. But when you know exactly what you want, the universe can work in perfect harmony to bring that vision to life. Every detail matters. Being specific in your desire does not just mean knowing the what, but also understanding the how and the why. For example, if you desire a new home, don't just visualize a house in general terms. Think about the features you want, how many rooms, the style, the location, the feeling you want to experience in your new space. Visualize the color of the walls, the furniture, the natural light, and the energy you want to experience when you walk through the front door. The more detailed your visualization, the more the universe can align the energy necessary to make that home a reality for you. The same applies to any desire, whether it's financial abundance, a loving relationship, or a successful career. Clarity helps you create a vivid mental image of your goals, and this image is what fuels the energy needed for manifestation. When you have a clear mental picture, you can focus all your attention on it, infusing it with emotion and energy, and aligning your actions with the goal. This focus creates a powerful magnetic field around your desire, attracting the opportunities, people, and circumstances that will bring it to life. Clarity also strengthens your belief. When you are specific about your desires, you are telling yourself that you are worthy of receiving them. You are setting a clear intention, and intention is the driving force behind all manifestation. When your intention is focused and clear, you approach your goal with certainty, and this certainty is the fuel that propels your desires into reality. Clarity allows you to notice when the universe is responding. Often the universe sends us messages, opportunities, and signs that our desires are already in motion. If your desire is vague, it becomes difficult to recognize these signs. But when you are specific, you can easily identify when something aligns with your goal. The clearer your intention, the more you will begin to notice these signs, and this feedback from the universe will reinforce your belief that your desire is on its way. In the process of manifestation, clarity is essential because it gives the universe the roadmap it needs to deliver your desires. You must know exactly what you want, and you must hold that vision with absolute certainty. By doing so, you create a direct line of communication between your desires and the universe, ensuring that nothing is lost in translation. The more specific you are, the faster and more effortlessly your desires will come into your reality. Remember, the universe is always responding to your thoughts. So be clear, be specific, and trust that your desires are already on their way. Detaching from the outcome is one of the most liberating and powerful practices in the manifestation process. It is the practice of letting go of the need to control how and when your desires will manifest. While you focus your thoughts on your desire, you must also release any attachment to the details of how it will happen. This shift in mindset is essential for allowing your desires to unfold in the most natural and effortless way. When you are attached to the how and when, you are essentially limiting the universe's ability to deliver your desires in the most ideal way. When you detach from the outcome, you free the universe to work in the most perfect and unexpected ways. The first step to detaching from the outcome is to recognize that you do not need to know how your desires will manifest. The how is not your responsibility. When you obsess over the logistics of how something will happen, you are placing limitations on your manifestation. The universe has an infinite number of ways to bring your desires to fruition, but when you try to control the process, you are narrowing your options. The key is to trust that the universe knows how to deliver your desires in the best possible way, even if you cannot see the path. Your role is to hold the vision of your desire clearly in your mind, to feel the emotions of already having it, and to trust that it will come to you in the perfect form and timing. Letting go of the when is equally important. Many people struggle with impatience, and it's easy to become frustrated when things don't manifest according to your timeline. However, the moment you begin to insist that your desire must happen at a specific time, you are creating resistance. The universe does not work on human timelines. It operates on divine timing, which is always in alignment with what is best for you. Trust that the universe knows when the right moment will be for your manifestation. Often the timing of your desire is perfectly aligned with other opportunities, circumstances, or people that will support your success. If you force the timing, you may be stepping outside of the natural flow of events that need to unfold. When you detach from the outcome, you also release the emotional charge associated with it. Often we become so emotionally invested in the outcome that we allow ourselves to become anxious, fearful, or frustrated if things aren't progressing as quickly as we would like. This emotional attachment to the outcome creates resistance and blocks the flow of manifestation. The key to detachment is cultivating a sense of peace and trust, knowing that your desires are already on their way. Your job is to remain focused on your vision and to take inspired action when needed, but without being attached to how or when things will unfold. I want to talk to you about something that's been on my mind lately, something I've experienced myself, and I bet you have too. Have you ever noticed how you wake up each morning with the same thoughts cycling through your mind? The same worries, the same doubts, the same quiet resignation that whispers, "This is just how things are." I have. For years I carried the weight of who I thought I needed to be. Not a physical weight, though sometimes it felt that way, but the invisible burden of an identity I had outgrown. This morning burden isn't random, it's your old self, still running the show. I remember a time when I'd wake up and before my eyes even opened, my mind would already be replaying yesterday's disappointments or anticipating today's potential failures. It was exhausting, like living the same day on repeat, hoping for different results. Einstein called that insanity, and he wasn't wrong. What I didn't understand then was that this wasn't just negative thinking. It was a biochemical addiction. My body had become accustomed to certain emotional states, worry, inadequacy, fear, and was unconsciously seeking those familiar signals each morning, like an old radio automatically tuning to its preset station. Let me ask you something personal. What emotions color your typical day? Is it anxiety that tightens your chest before your feet even hit the floor? Is it that familiar disappointment when things don't work out again? Or perhaps it's that subtle, constant feeling that you're just not quite enough. These emotions aren't just passing weather, they're your emotional home address, the place you keep returning to day after day. And here's the truth that changed everything for me. Your old self is not just a memory, it's a magnetic field. Everything you're experiencing right now is being attracted by the energy you're consistently broadcasting. Think about it. Your body doesn't know the difference between what's happening now and what you're vividly remembering or imagining. Your nervous system, your hormones, your entire biochemistry responds to the emotions you repeatedly feel. By age 35, nearly 95% of who you are has become automatic memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, and unconscious habits. Not because you chose them deliberately, but because you practiced them until they became your default. I once heard someone say, "Your personality creates your personal reality." I didn't fully grasp what that meant until I realized that my personality, the collection of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors I identified with, was literally shaping what I was experiencing in my life. I wasn't just thinking about limitations, I was embodying them. I wasn't just worrying about rejection, I was unconsciously creating situations where I'd feel rejected. This was my prison, and I had unknowingly built it myself, brick by emotional brick. The walls weren't physical, but they were just as confining, perhaps more so because I couldn't see them. I only felt their effect. The chronic dissatisfaction, the recurring patterns, the sense that something better was always just out of reach. What's fascinating is that science is now confirming what ancient wisdom traditions have taught for millennia. Your internal state creates your external reality. When you experience an emotion, your brain releases specific neurochemicals. Feel fear, and your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline. Feel love, and you're awash in oxytocin and dopamine. These chemicals aren't just fleeting sensations, they're instructions to your cells, telling them how to function, what genes to express, what reality to prepare for. Live in chronic stress, and your body physically reshapes itself to handle a threatening world. Live in gratitude and trust, and your body optimizes for growth, healing, and connection. I spent years trying to change my circumstances while maintaining the same internal chemistry. It was like trying to drive to a new destination while traveling on the same old road. No matter how fast I drove or how determined I was, I always ended up in familiar territory. What I didn't understand was that transformation isn't about trying harder within the same state of being. It's about shifting states entirely. Imagine yourself as a tuning fork, constantly vibrating at a specific frequency. The universe, or the quantum field, if you prefer, isn't responding to your wishes or your vision board. It's responding to your vibration. I remember when this hit me. I kept saying I wanted freedom, opportunity, and abundance, but I was vibrating fear, scarcity, and not enoughness. My words were saying one thing, but my energy was broadcasting something completely different. And guess which one the universe was listening to? Here's what I had to confront, and maybe you do too. You can't step into a new life while being energetically loyal to your past. This isn't about positive thinking or affirmations. Those are like trying to paint a crumbling wall. The paint might look nice for a moment, but the foundation is still compromised. There was a period in my life when I was religiously practicing affirmations. Every morning I'd look in the mirror and repeat, "I am abundant, I am worthy, I am successful." But throughout the day, I'd feel the exact opposite. My bank account was dwindling, my relationships were strained, and my sense of worth was tied to external validation that rarely came. I was trying to override decades of programming with a few minutes of recited phrases. It was like trying to redirect a river with a teaspoon. What I eventually realized is that transformation requires more than surface changes. It demands a complete rewiring of your operating system, from your conscious thoughts down to your subconscious beliefs, from your mental patterns to your cellular memory. But here's where it gets interesting, and where I found my first real breakthrough. In quantum physics, there's something called the observer effect. It means that the act of observing changes what's being observed. When you become conscious of a pattern in yourself, you're no longer completely identified with it. The first time I truly saw my old self, not judged it, just saw it clearly, something shifted. I wasn't just running on autopilot anymore. There was space between me and the pattern. I had become the observer, and that tiny space, that's where freedom begins. I remember the exact moment this happened for me. I was in the middle of an argument with someone I loved, feeling that familiar surge of defensiveness and the need to prove myself right. But suddenly there was this strange moment of clarity, like I had stepped outside myself and could see the pattern playing out. Oh, I thought, there's that old reaction again, the one where I feel threatened and need to win. Just that recognition, that moment of witnessing, changed everything. The pattern didn't immediately disappear, but it lost some of its power over me. I wasn't completely identified with it anymore. There was a me that could see beyond the pattern, that could choose differently. This is what meditation teachers mean when they talk about mindfulness, that capacity to witness your own processes without being swept away by them. It's not about forcing change through willpower. It's about creating enough inner space to allow change to happen naturally. One of the most liberating discoveries of my journey was understanding the difference between having emotions and being emotions. For most of my life, I didn't say, I feel angry. I said, I am angry. I didn't experience, I feel anxious. I became anxiety itself. This complete identification with emotional states meant I had no separation from them, no freedom to choose a different response. When you identify totally with an emotion or a pattern, you hand over your power. You become a passenger in your own life, driven by unconscious programming rather than conscious choice. Learning to create that space, to say, I notice I'm feeling anxious rather than I am anxious, was revolutionary. It meant that emotions could move through me without defining me. Patterns could arise without controlling me. This isn't about suppressing feelings or denying reality. It's about recognizing that you are the sky, not the weather. Emotions, thoughts, sensations, they all move through your awareness like clouds, sometimes stormy, sometimes light, but the awareness itself, that's the real you. And it remains unchanged, spacious, and free regardless of what's passing through. I spent years trying to change my external world without changing myself first. I was trying to access a reality that belonged to a version of me I hadn't become yet. Here's what I finally understood. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. The future you, the one living the life you desire, doesn't just think differently. They are different. They feel different. They respond to challenges differently. They make decisions from a completely different place. Your task isn't to chase that future self. It's to collapse the distance by becoming vibrationally compatible with them right now. This was perhaps the most profound turning point in my journey. Instead of asking, how do I get what I want? I began asking, who do I need to become to naturally attract what I want? The shift is subtle but revolutionary. It moves the focal point from external acquisition to internal transformation, from getting to being, from chasing to attracting. What if I told you that the future version of yourself, the one living the life you dream about, already exists? Not in some distant hypothetical future, but right now in this moment, as a vibration, a frequency you can tune into. Quantum physics suggests something remarkable. Reality isn't linear. Time isn't fixed. What we experience as our present is simply the reality we've collapsed from infinite possibilities based on our dominant frequency. This means the version of you who is thriving, fulfilled, and living your dream life exists now, just at a different frequency than the one you're currently tuned to. And the only thing separating you from that version of yourself is your vibration. I know this might sound abstract or even mystical, but the principles are grounded in the strange and beautiful realities of quantum science. In the quantum field, particles exist in a state of pure potential, what physicists call superposition, until they're observed. The act of observation causes the particle to choose a definite state from all possibilities. In a similar way, your consciousness is constantly collapsing specific realities from the field of infinite potential. And what determines which reality you collapse? Your vibrational state, the sum total of your beliefs, emotions, thoughts, and expectations. Think about it this way. Right now, there are infinite versions of you existing across what physicists call the multiverse. There's the you who's struggling financially, the you who's wildly abundant, the you who's deeply in love, the you who's perpetually lonely. All of these versions exist simultaneously as potential reality. The one you're experiencing right now is simply the one that matches your current vibrational signature. I used to think this was just an interesting metaphysical concept until I began to experience it firsthand. As I shifted my internal state, releasing old identities and embodying new ones, reality began to reorganize itself around me in ways I couldn't have engineered through external effort alone. Opportunities that aligned with my new frequency began to appear. People responded to me differently. Situations that had been stuck for years suddenly found resolution. It wasn't magic, it was mathematics. The law of resonance playing out with perfect precision. Coherence is a scientific term that describes a system whose parts are aligned and working in harmony. When your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions are all in alignment, you achieve a state of personal coherence. And that's when the magic happens. I noticed that in my own life, whenever I experienced frustration or stagnation, there was always an incoherence somewhere in my system. I'd say I wanted financial abundance, but I'd feel guilty about charging for my services. I'd claim I wanted deep connection, but I'd keep people at arm's length out of fear of being hurt. These contradictions created a mixed signal, a fractured frequency that couldn't clearly attract anything. Learning to create coherence to align my conscious desires with my subconscious beliefs, my words with my feelings, my actions with my intentions, was like turning a crackling radio broadcast into a crystal clear signal. Suddenly, life could hear me. Reality could respond cleanly. This doesn't mean having no negative emotions or doubts. It means bringing awareness to the contradictions and lovingly working to resolve them. It means becoming a unified field rather than a conflicted one. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine walking into a room and seeing the version of you who already lives the life you desire. Notice how they carry themselves. The ease in their shoulders, the clarity in their eyes. They don't doubt their worth or question their path. They're not weighed down by past hurts or future fears. Now ask them, what did you let go of to become this free? Because, and this was a revelation for me, the new self isn't created by adding more. It's revealed by subtracting, by releasing the layers of conditioning, pain, and limiting beliefs until all that's left is your essence. You're not becoming something new. You're remembering who you've always been beneath the noise. I tried this exercise during a particularly dark period in my life. Everything seemed to be falling apart. My relationship had ended. A business venture had failed. My health was suffering. I felt completely lost. In my visualization, the future self I encountered wasn't what I expected. I thought I'd see some superhuman version of me, ultra-confident, perfectly polished, with all the answers. Instead, I met someone who looked a lot like me, but with a profound sense of peace. The main difference wasn't in their achievements or possessions. It was in what they'd released. They'd let go of the need to control outcomes. They'd released the belief that worth is tied to achievement. They'd surrendered the pattern of self-judgment that had driven me for decades. What struck me most was how ordinary yet extraordinary this future self seemed. They weren't trying to be special. They were simply being authentic, and that authenticity was magnetic. Your identity, the collection of beliefs, memories, patterns, and stories that you call me, can be your greatest asset or your heaviest burden. Most people don't realize how much energy it takes to maintain an identity, especially one that's built on limitation or past pain. It's like carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go. You're so used to the weight that you don't even notice it anymore until someone points out that you could put it down. I remember the strange mix of fear and excitement I felt when I first considered releasing parts of my identity. On one hand, these patterns were familiar. They made me feel safe in their predictability. They were home, even if home wasn't particularly comfortable. On the other hand, I sensed the incredible freedom that would come from putting down that weight, the energy that would be released, the possibilities that would open up. What I discovered is that you don't have to destroy your old identity. You don't have to reject or shame who you've been. You simply need to recognize that you are not your patterns. You are the awareness in which patterns arise, and that awareness can choose differently at any moment. So how do we make this shift? Not through information, but through embodiment. Not through thinking, but through becoming. I'm going to guide you through what I call a quantum identity reset, a process to release the old self and step into the new. Number 1. Name your old self. You can't release what you don't recognize. What would you call the version of you that's been running on autopilot? The pleaser, the perfectionist, the invisible one. Give it a name that resonates. For me, it was the survivor, the part of me always braced for the next disaster, never fully trusting that life could be easy. Take a moment to reflect on the core beliefs that drive this identity. What does this version of you deeply believe about yourself, others, and the world? What emotions does it most frequently experience? What situations or triggers activate it most strongly? Understanding these patterns isn't about judgment. It's about clarity. The more clearly you can see the contours of your old self, the less power it has over you. Number 2, honor and release. This part is crucial. Your old self isn't your enemy. It was trying to protect you. It helped you survive when survival was the goal. Thank it for its service. Then visualize yourself gently setting down that heavy backpack of outdated patterns and beliefs. You don't need to destroy it. Just put it down and walk away. I remember the profound sense of lightness the first time I did this. Like I could finally stand tall after years of carrying an invisible weight. This honoring is essential because resistance creates persistence. If you try to reject or fight your old self, you actually energize it. What you resist persists. What you embrace can be released. So speak to this identity with compassion. Recognize that it formed for a reason, to help you navigate challenges, to protect you from perceived threats, to make sense of confusing experiences. It did the best it could with the awareness available at the time, but now you have greater awareness. You can see beyond those old strategies. You can choose differently. Number 3, embody your new self. Now step into the energy of who you're becoming. How does this version of you stand? Breathe, speak, make decisions. For me, my new self had a quiet confidence I'd rarely felt before. His shoulders were relaxed. His breath was deep. His voice was clear. He didn't need approval or permission. This embodiment isn't pretending or fake it till you make it. It's recognizing that the future self already exists within you as potential, and you're simply aligning with that potential in the present moment. I found it helpful to identify specific situations where my old self would typically take over. A challenging conversation, a financial decision, a social gathering, and imagine how my new self would navigate these scenarios. Not from fear or habit, but from centered presence and trust. The body is the subconscious mind made visible. By changing your physiology, how you stand, breathe, move, speak, you send powerful signals to your nervous system that a shift is occurring. This isn't superficial, it's neurobiological. Number 4, declare your new reality. Words have power, especially when they're charged with embodied emotion. Speak this declaration aloud. I no longer collapse the past. I tune into who I truly am. Say it again, not as empty words, but as a vibrational statement. I no longer collapse the past. I tune into who I truly am. Let those words resonate in every cell of your body. Feel them changing your frequency. Declarations work because language isn't just descriptive, it's creative. Your words don't just describe reality, they help shape it. This is particularly true when those words are accompanied by genuine emotion and conviction. When I first started working with declarations, I made the mistake of reciting them mechanically, without feeling. It was like reading a grocery list. Unsurprisingly, nothing changed. The breakthrough came when I began to feel the declaration as already true. I didn't say I will be confident while feeling insecure. I found the seed of confidence already present in me, amplified it, and declared from that place, I am confident. The declaration then becomes both an affirmation of what's already emerging and a catalyst for further embodiment. Number 5, daily practice. This isn't a one-time event, it's a practice. Each morning, before checking your phone or starting your day, ask yourself, which version of me will collapse reality today? Then choose consciously, lovingly, powerfully. Consistency is key here. Neural pathways strengthen with repetition. New identities form through consistent reinforcement. The question isn't whether transformation is possible. It absolutely is, thanks to neuroplasticity, but whether you're willing to practice the new state of being with enough consistency to create lasting change. I found that creating specific anchors in my day was helpful, moments when I would consciously check in and realign with my new self. These might be transitions, like moving from home to work, or sensory cues, like the sound of a bell or the feeling of water on my skin during a shower. Each of these moments became an opportunity to ask, am I operating from my old self or my new self right now? And if it's the old self, can I shift? Over time, these conscious choices become more natural. What once required deliberate effort eventually becomes your new baseline. As you practice this reset, you'll likely encounter resistance. This is normal. In fact, it's a sign that real change is occurring. The old self doesn't relinquish control easily. It's been in charge for years, perhaps decades. When you begin to shift into a new identity, the old self often fights back with familiar weapons. Doubt, fear, criticism, procrastination. You might hear internal voices saying things like, this won't work. Who do you think you are? This is selfish. What if you fail? It's safer to stay as you are. Recognize these voices for what they are. The death throes of an outdated identity. They're not truth. They're resistance. I found that the most effective response to resistance isn't to fight it, which only creates more resistance, but to witness it with compassion. Ah, there's that old fear again. I see you. I understand why you're here, but I'm choosing differently now. This witnessing diffuses the power of resistance without energizing it through struggle. When I first embraced this practice, the shifts were subtle at first. An unexpected opportunity, a conversation that opened doors I didn't know existed, a sudden clarity about decisions that had confused me for months. But over time, As I consistently chose to vibrate at the frequency of my future self, reality began to rearrange itself around me. Not because I was forcing it, but because I was in resonance with a different timeline. And here's what I've learned. When you change your vibration, your life cannot stay the same. It's not magic, it's mathematics. It's the law of resonance playing out in your daily experience. One of the most striking examples in my own life came after months of practicing this reset. I had been struggling financially for years, constantly worried about money and caught in a scarcity mindset. As I shifted into a state of abundance, not by pretending I had more money, but by genuinely feeling grateful for what I had and confident in my ability to create value, opportunities began to appear that had been invisible to me before. A project I'd been trying to launch for months suddenly gained traction. People began approaching me with collaborations that aligned perfectly with my strengths. Resources that I needed seemed to appear at exactly the right moment. None of this happened because I was manifesting in the conventional sense. It happened because I had shifted my frequency to one that was compatible with these experiences. I had become the person who could recognize and receive these opportunities rather than unconsciously repelling them through fear and doubt. As you align with your new self, you'll likely begin to notice an increase in synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that feel guided or orchestrated. Someone mentions a book, and the next day it falls off a shelf in front of you. You think of a solution to a problem, and hours later, a friend calls with exactly the resources you need. You feel drawn to a particular location only to have a life-changing encounter there. These aren't random coincidences. They're signs that you're in the flow, aligned with a coherent field of possibilities that matches your new frequency. I used to dismiss synchronicities as mere confirmation bias, the tendency to notice things that confirm what we already believe. But as they became more frequent and undeniable in my own life, I began to see them differently. As feedback from the field, cosmic winks letting me know I was on track. These moments of grace aren't rewards for good behavior. They're natural outgrowths of alignment. When you're vibrating coherently, life responds coherently. When you're fragmented within, reality appears fragmented without. Your shift doesn't just change your personal reality. It sends ripples through the collective field. As you release your old patterns and step into your authentic power, you create permission for others to do the same. We're not separate beings having isolated experiences. We're interconnected nodes in a vast, conscious field. Your liberation contributes to the liberation of all. I noticed this in my own circles. As I began to embody more authenticity and sovereignty, the people around me started changing too. Some moved away, no longer resonant with my new frequency. Others drew closer, inspired by the transformation they witnessed, and many began their own parallel journeys of awakening. Not because I was actively trying to change them, but because transformation is contagious. This ripple effect gives deeper meaning to personal growth. It's not just about improving your individual experience. It's about contributing to the evolution of consciousness itself. Your shift creates a crack in the collective matrix, allowing light to enter not just your reality, but the shared reality we all inhabit. At its core, this journey requires courage. The courage to let go of the familiar, even when it's uncomfortable. The courage to step into the unknown. The courage to be who you truly are in a world that may not yet recognize or validate that truth. I've come to believe that this might be the most fundamental choice we face in life. Will we continue to be who we think we should be, governed by conditioning and fear? Or will we have the courage to be who we truly are, aligned with our soul's deepest knowing? The old self was built on adaptation, becoming whoever you needed to be survive, to be accepted. The new self emerges from authenticity, the willingness to be real, raw, true, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. This authenticity isn't self-indulgence, it's sovereignty. It's the recognition that you are the authority on your own experience. You are the author of your story. You are the creator of your reality. So I ask you now, are you ready to release the version of you that no longer matches your future? Are you willing to let go of the identity that was built for survival so you can step into one that's designed for thriving? If something inside you is resonating with these words, if you can feel a quickening, a recognition, a yes, then it's time. Time to put down the heavy backpack. Time to tune into a new frequency. Time to collapse a new reality. The old you has served its purpose. The new you is already waiting, ready to emerge. The question is, are you ready?